I wish I knew how to quit you.
Then why don't you?
You're listening to Codependent Content, the podcast where we discuss the TV shows, movies, books, and video games in which we share an unhealthy relationship.
But also the thought did occur. If I were out there somewhere, lost and in trouble, you would set the world on fire to save me.
Join us as we try to unravel the characters, stories, and worlds that we are entangled with. Because just when we think we're done with content, it draws us back in. The Last of Us, Episode 7, the season finale. We've made it, Morgan.
You did it. 7 episodes.
Yeah, we're here. You've put up with me for 7 weeks now. Oof. How does it feel?
We got there.
And scene. Welcome back, Morgan. Welcome back, everyone. Here, as we just mentioned, we're here to talk about The Last of Us, the final episode of season 2. We know we're getting a season 3. But yeah, I hope you've seen the episode. If you haven't seen the episode, as usual, I want to remind people that we're fully talking about it. This is a spoiler discussion. We want to be free to talk about it. I have played the game. Morgan, you have not played the game.
Mm-mm.
So I do know potentially what season 3 has in store. I'm not going to bring up anything that happens in season 3 per se, story-wise. I might talk a little bit about structure and what we can expect based on how this episode ends. But I won't go beyond that, right? So yeah, other than that, spoilers beware, right? Yeah, before we jump into episode, this is technically our last podcast of The Last of Us. I don't know, maybe we'll return and do like a overall recap if that's something that you guys want to listen to or whatever. This is all kind of new. We're kind of like flying at the seat of my pants kind of situation. I have no idea what I want to talk about next, what we're going to talk about next.
Mm-mm.
I know that something I do want to talk about is Foundation Season 3. I know a lot of people are not watching Foundation, but that's something I love, a show that I love, and I do want to talk about, but that's not until July, if I recall correctly. So I have a whole month to figure out what do we want to talk about. So I'm putting the question out to you guys. If you've enjoyed this podcast, if you like hearing us talk about things, if you want more of these deep dives, whether it's movies or shows or something, is there anything we can talk about that you want to listen to? Especially because I want to keep having these conversations, keep going on this journey with you beyond The Last of Us. This isn't a Last of Us podcast. This is a content podcast, as much as people hate the word content. But yeah, what do you guys want to talk about? What do you guys want to watch? What are you watching next? Because I'm still trying to figure that out. Anyway, let me know in the comments. Send us emails, codependentcontent@gmail.com. Leave a comment on this YouTube video, or if I clip this out and put it on TikTok, leave a comment there. Tell me what you want to talk about. Hopefully this gets in your eyeballs and we can choose a new show together. Also, if you want to do Foundation, please let me know. If you really, really don't want to hear about Foundation, also let me know. And maybe I'll pivot. But we'll see. That said, we have very little feedback, I think, in terms of the last episode. I think in general, most people really enjoyed last week's episode. That was a all flashback episode. People cried. People were amazed and in awe, and the performances were there. I think, yeah, overall, most people just love spending time with Joel and having their time with Pedro again. Mm-hmm. And overall, just really, really enjoyed that episode. But one thing that was brought up, which is just interesting for me, because it's something I hadn't thought about as someone who has played the games. It's just not something that I would think about. You have played the first game, so this is not necessarily a second game thing. But spores. Someone in the comments mentioned like Ellie comes back to the theater, and is she not afraid of, now that these spores exist, getting them on other people, and putting people in danger?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's something that, like, if you haven't played the game, you might be confused on how do spores work. And as far as we can tell, they're usually contained. They're like in the air, it's airborne, but it's not like pollen. It doesn't like settle on your clothes or anything like that. It doesn't follow you around everywhere. And so that's not something that you'd have to worry about. Granted, as someone else mentioned, she did walk home in the rain, and I guess it could have washed off, I don't think we're going to get an explanation on that. Spores seem to be like a later addition to The Last of Us TV show, so they're probably not going to explain it. But it is a good question. It is really interesting that you leave something out that was a big part of the first game and the second game, and then decide to bring it in, but you don't explain it at all. People are going to have questions about it. That said, I don't know if we're going to run into spores again. At this point, I just don't know. Because what is the show's version of things? So that was just something I wanted to clear up, because I know that there's probably confusion for people who haven't played the games.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
And I wish I had answers for you, because they don't really explain it.
No, they talk about spores very little in the TV show. In fact.
Well, in the game too, like it's not really a thing that they worry about either. They go in, they put their gas masks on, you leave an area, and then you take your gas mask off. You don't wash off or anything. Yeah. There's no like, let me make sure there's no spores on you. It just doesn't seem to follow you. So it's not like
I'm fine hand waving it. I'm just like, I don't.
Yeah.
It's a spore area or it's not a spore area.
Yeah. It does seem like if this is something that is new, that you're like, oh, this is in the air. I do understand though the confusion. I do understand where in most zombie films, if you were to encounter something like this, you'd be a lot more careful. Yeah. Like, is it on me? What's going on? Yeah. So yeah. But here, Last of Us, they don't seem to care about it. And then last week I had my own observation, I guess, my own feedback from last week's episode that I wanted to bring up before we get into this week's episode. I was just like watching a lot of other clips, a lot of other people talk about the show and things like that. And I know it probably seems really on the nose now, really not that subtle. This is both a game thing and a show thing, but never once have I pieced together, especially in the scene and how they do it in the show, the idea of how Ellie going to space, even though it's like all imaginary, I think for that moment, Joel and Ellie, they do leave Earth, because this is what Joel wants. He wants to give her everything, and to, as he says at the beginning of the scene, it's like, I think you just need to be a kid right now. Yeah. And it's him giving her the gift of just like being able to escape the worries of this world and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so she literally goes to space. I say literally, figuratively. She figuratively goes to space. Mm-hmm. And then by the end of that sequence, she has to come back down to Earth. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing when she sees the fireflies, is like, you can't. Her and Joel can't escape actual atmosphere. They can't get away from the problems. They can't get away from the past or anything. And just the symbolism of that has never, even whenever I play the game, just never thought about that. And something that I just think is super interesting, that I'm like, oh yeah, I wish I'd brought that up last week on the podcast. I don't know. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that? You just feel like, oh yeah, that's it.
That makes sense.
It's pretty much there. Maybe I'm the only one that's like, oh yeah, that's
I get it. I think that makes sense.
Yeah. Any thoughts about last week? Any feedback you've seen? Anything you want to talk about before we move on to this week in this episode?
No, let's talk about this week. Yeah.
Let's do it. This week we are talking about The Last of Us, episode 7, titled Convergence. I almost had a betting pool about what the title of the episode was going to be.
What was your guess?
I was thinking Our War. We were also thinking You Wasted It or something.
Yeah.
It isn't a very good actionable title thing, but something along
Maybe
those
just
lines.
wasted.
Yeah, wasted. I don't know. I was going with Our War because that seemed very poignant. Like this was about what is our war in The Last of Us, you know?
Yeah.
And maybe we'll talk about that a little bit more. But yeah, but this was instead called Convergence, a little bit more vaguey, whatever, you know? Written by our usual three, Craig Mazin, Neil Druckmann, Hallie Gross, and directed this week by Nina Lopez Corrado, which I tried to look her up. She just seems to, I didn't see specific episodes, but she's directed a lot of television, done like Mayor of Easttown and she's done a whole lot of different shows, 2 or 3 episodes each here and there. Shows that you've watched and stuff. I didn't like get the whole list, but I've noticed like, it's like, okay, it's like, so she's like in the TV space, you know? And just sometimes it's interesting, like how they choose people, but, this scene, I didn't see anything specific as to like why, but it seems like, I don't know also, like, it seems like she did like 2 episodes and I'm wondering if she did a lot of finales before. But I couldn't see the specific episodes because IMDb sucks and doesn't show me that. And I have to like really go searching and I didn't really have time. But yeah, just something to notice. Like she's been around. She's been doing this for a while and for decades. And I love that. Brought in like a very well established person to do this finale. Right. And yeah, before we get into, you know, scene by scene, deep diving things, I kind of knew what to expect. Morgan, how do you feel about this episode? And what happened? Just in general, what are your thoughts?
I mean, action-packed episode. It's very wet.
It is very wet. Honestly, it's actually something in the behind the scenes they say is this is the most I think Bella is like wet throughout the entire episode. She's like soaking.
It's very Seattle doing Seattle things. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's an action-packed episode. Some serious cliffhangers at the end.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We just opened a whole can of worms, and now I'm going to have to wait a couple years.
Yeah. Something happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I liked it. I had fun.
Surprises.
Can I just say the big ones? I mean,
yeah. Are you mad at me?
No, I'm not mad, but I mean, Jesse's dead, which is a bummer.
Yeah.
I mean, we can talk about this more scene by scene, but like, honestly, my biggest takeaway, I don't know if I like Ellie anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
I very much blame her for Jesse's death.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think if we're talking about how she's like Joel, she's really fucking selfish.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to root for her right now.
Mm-hmm.
For me, at least. That was kind of what was like crystallizing for me. That I'm like, you've gotten so much help and so many things basically for free.
Yeah.
And it's wasted on you.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I always want to understand when people say things like I don't like or whatever. Is that something that are you saying that you don't like her and you feel like you shouldn't like her at this point, or you're like, I don't like what the writers are doing with it, or I don't like what is going on? You know, do you know what I'm saying? Because I sometimes there's a distinction, because to me feels like you should be there. I don't know that we should like Ellie at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't speak to as much of like the writer's intent. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think she's become very frustrating. Where I'm like, ugh, people are dying for you.
Yeah.
And you seem fundamentally either unaware or ungrateful about it all the time. And that sucks. Yeah.
Well, this is important, I think, for me and for other people to understand and for me to portray or help people understand is like, I do think that is if you're feeling frustrated with Ellie, because I think there are people when they say it, that there's a lot of people that are like, I don't like how they're writing Ellie right now. I don't like what's going on, you know, and they made Ellie such and such, like too much this or too much that. And I don't understand these criticisms. And I'm like, I agree. Like Ellie is not likable in this moment.
Yeah.
I also don't like Ellie. And it's hard because like this is a character that you feel like, well, it's our protagonist, so we should like her, right? We should be on her side. And I don't think that that's the case. And it's important to recognize that this is more or less, and again, I don't know if they're doing a season 3 and 4, but more or less midway through the story. Like this isn't the end of the story. And typically there's usually like a midpoint thing in storytelling, right?
Well, that's interesting.
You're deep, the point of no return or the shift or whatever it is, right? Craig Mazin talks about this on his podcast, you know, a screenwriting podcast, which I really love. I've brought it up last time I talked about the show, and I think one of the reasons he's drawn to this story is because it kind of aligns with his way of telling stories, of the way he believes that stories and movies and things should be written, which is like typically you have a character who starts off embodying this antithesis. The point being that there's a thesis of the story that you're trying to tell, or as I think I wrote down as something that I wanted to bring up, in the bookstore, there's like every book or every story has a moral, is like painted on the wall when they're in the bookstore or something like that. It's and I don't believe that per se, but I do believe that the storytellers, it's not necessarily a moral, but that there's something that they're trying to say, right? And there's something that the character is going to learn. We love a character on an arc. We need them to go through a change. And in Craig's estimation, the character starts off embodying the antithesis of the moral or the against the thesis that you are trying to tell as a storyteller, or that the story is trying to show this character, right? And eventually they're going to butt up against that because they need to change. They need to eventually embody the thesis in some way. This is what we see with Joel, right? He's embodying this selfishness and this, or I'm for myself and no one else, right? But we want him to learn to be vulnerable again and to love someone and to put someone else first, right? Which he does. He still is in that way selfish, not selfish, but he is. He's putting someone else first. He's sacrificing for them and he gives them a life, right? And he changes and he becomes more open and he becomes more vulnerable, right? He has to go through that change. Ellie, we're seeing, is like halfway through that. She hasn't, I don't think, and not until the very end has she kind of even started to like swing, you know? And because this is midway through the story, there's going to be no resolution there. So we're seeing her at the worst spot that she's probably going to be, essentially, maybe, right? That this is not a conclusion, unfortunately. That's the problem with breaking up something and doing a part 1, and doing midway through, So I think that I agree. I don't like her. I also don't know that we're supposed to. And maybe that's why I bring it up, is like, because like, is it something where we feel like it's not just that I don't like her. I'm not on her side. But also I feel like the writing is there to like support that. And it's different if you feel like the writing isn't there to support that it's just there that she's unlikable and she's being contradictory in some way or something like that. That's why I bring those things up. But it does feel like that this is something that we should be wrestling with. And we're going to wrestle with because it is just midway through the story.
Yeah.
She hasn't gone through her arc. She's only maybe halfway there, you know?
Yeah. Totally.
So yeah, I don't know, just something to, I guess, think about or bring up. And also why it's going to be frustrating as a storytelling device too for this finale. If it is frustrating for you or for you, Morgan, or for me, which I feel like I would be very frustrated if I didn't know that there was a whole story, you know, like where the story's going.
Yeah.
But part of that frustration also comes in the fact that like we can't continue the story, that we're literally cutting it off halfway through.
Yeah.
This is a very good stopping point based on what I know from the game, but it's also very frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah, for those of us that didn't play the game, it's just frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah. Whatever that knowledge that you have is, we don't have.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like, it shouldn't even be like, as a television show, I don't know if it's a good, on my end, I'm like, I enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, I think it's a fun episode.
I think it's a great episode, and I love the ending, and I love the things that happen. And even though I hate them too, I hate that Jesse's dead. I thought you were gonna be mad at me because I hyped up Jesse like so much.
I love Jesse. He's awesome.
And I knew this was gonna happen. Yeah. You know. You know. Helping people to love a character that I love, and then essentially that knowing that you're gonna get your heart broken is where I felt like, if you're mad at me, I understand, but I kind of wanted that too.
I'm not angry about it at all.
But I thought it was a great episode, but I also see little things where I'm like, this feels like a season 3 thing, you know, like this feels, it's like, there's more story. It feels frustrating because I'm like, I know that where it's going to be 2 or 3 years before we can even really wrestle with some of this. Yeah. You know, that that it is only half the story is really annoying, right? This is one of those things where I am glad that they pushed a few things up, because at least we're not waiting 2 years to talk about the porch scene, you know, things like that we are at least not going to have to wait 2 years before you understand that Abby is going to be our point of view character at the beginning of next season.
Yeah.
They clearly showed that. Otherwise it's hard to talk about, like the fact that we're stopping here.
Yeah.
Right before like the thing that we thought we were going to have, like, this is it. We're there. We're at the convergence of, I just said the name of the thing, you know, of these two storms that just finally collided. And then we're not going to see what happens. That's frustrating, you know? Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know. I think that like, we can talk about this like into the ground, but I think like fundamentally, this is why I have a hard time with TV. Right? It's like this is why I like going to movies more than I like watching TV shows.
Yeah,
I like being able to walk into a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know if I blame like the creators of this show that much, as opposed to just the fucking medium. Like I think this is what television is designed to do. You know. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I can't be like, I'm not surprised. This is what happens at the end of most seasons of television.
I feel like that's interesting, because I do feel like that even when you know that there's a continuing story and it's kind of cliche now to bring up something like Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul, right? Which does these things where there's more, like that we haven't finished the story, right? But the season itself has its own kind of arc, its own kind of thing. Do you feel like The Last of Us season 2 has that?
Has like,
because typically like seasons, a good cliffhanger like closes off what you started the season with, like answers questions, brings everything full circle, right? But then leaves more, but gives you more. And they might bring it up at the end of the episode, or there's like little threads, but but the main arc, the main themes, the main thing that's being wrestled with, that's been brought up at the beginning of the season, is usually answered, because the next season is another chapter. It's a new thing, right? And do you feel like The Last of Us has done that well?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
That's where I'm like, yeah, this is not.
There's like, what chapter did they close?
Right. Yeah.
Maybe I've just missed it, but no, not at all.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's why I'm asking, is because like when we say like this is like most, of course, most television shows end the seasons with cliffhangers or things, but I don't think that The Last of Us does it in the way that most television shows do. Yeah. They're literally just saying like, here's half the story.
Yeah. Which is also weird, because I'm like, then why was it 7 episodes?
Yeah.
You know, like
where it's like, okay, is it just, I don't think we're ever going to be able to do the season 2 and talk about it separately from like season 3.
I mean, I don't know what happens in season 3 the way that you might.
It's like until
yes, inevitably, right?
Yeah.
The whole story, right, is like best friend, stand-in daddy dies.
Yeah.
I need to go kill this person who did it. And the whole season is just like getting to the town that they live in and trying to find them. And then they like, there's no.
It feels like the things that, if I have like one major frustration with this episode, is because what I love about this episode is that it deeply focuses on the conversations and the ideologies between Jesse and Ellie. Yeah. And it uses Jesse in a way that Jesse wasn't used in the game to like confront Ellie with her
selfishness
and her values, right? And her core like theme of like what she's here for and what she believes, right?
Yeah.
My belief, going off of Craig Mason's belief, is like everyone has their core rules, you know. In Fast and Furious, you're gonna find the rule of like family, right? You know, or things like that, right? And like what happens whenever someone tries to like go against these rules, you know?
Yeah,
like
totally.
And so that's what we're like seeing, is we get this between Jesse and Ellie, and they're both wrestling with these questions, and they're both struggling with, what do I value most, right? But I feel like we're only getting Ellie's side of it here in this episode and not through the rest of the season, right? That this has not been very apparent of like that this was the journey, or this is the thing that she was struggling with.
Yeah.
Until this episode, because I think there is a slight shift at the very end of the episode. There's a change in her that I love. That I think she did like there is a closing off of this arc of hers in some way, but it wasn't quite apparent through the entire season, not until this episode. And that's my main frustration, is that I wish we had just seeded that more. Like, instead of just giving us more, say, as much as I love Gail and Eugene and like these other additions, and giving us more Jackson and these other things, that we don't actually, if we know this is how we're going to end the season, and this is what we want to be questioning and struggling with, why didn't we bring that in more? Yeah. Is my thing. Like, why didn't we just see that a little bit more? Maybe they did, and maybe we missed it, because there's so much to talk about. I as a game player, like, I always knew what was going to happen, so it's hard for me to pick up on things. And I'm wondering, am I wrong? Did you pick up on this stuff, or do you feel like it all kind of came in this episode and didn't? show up before.
like maybe little traces here and there, but not a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's like I guess there's like I think their way of inserting this is like basically when Ellie starts to realize that like, oh, Dina's pregnant and I have other stuff to live for. We've talked about that. That's like the closest I've seen like this like shift in Ellie where like priorities change or whatever. But even then, not really. You know, it seems like in those scenes it's more like, oh, I'm watching out for Dina in a different way while still going for this thing that I'm after. Hasn't been actually like change. It's just like, oh, how do I still achieve this goal with this new information that I have? So
the conflict, I think, right, hasn't been quite there.
Yeah.
It's never been, she hasn't butted up against anything that's saying, it's because even Dina before was like, yeah, like I'm here to support you. Like we're both doing the thing together.
Yeah.
There was never, and even the creators and the showrunners talk so much about this episode being about the things that keep telling her don't move forward.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's great. But why not give us more of that earlier?
Yeah.
Why only after Nora? Right? Why only in this episode?
Yeah.
And even if we are supposed to be seeing Ellie as this like, I guess, unstoppable train that's just going to keep breaking past every barrier. I didn't see her as the train earlier in the show.
Yeah.
Right. She was just a person that was kind of on this journey, and I wasn't seeing that conflict. I wasn't seeing her like push through each moment, you know, and I didn't see her, I guess, gain that momentum, which I would have liked to become that unstoppable train.
Yeah.
And I feel like that could have been fleshed out a little bit more. Again, I know I'm coming from a thing where it's like, I know who she is and how she is because I've played the game. Like I already understand this character. So a lot of it is just things that I kind of have projected onto her, the show version of it, because I already know like what is going on and happening. Right.
Yeah.
But I do think if I could take myself out of it, and if I was watching that, I feel like a lot of this struggle comes kind of out of nowhere. Not out of nowhere. It makes kind of sense after Nora, but it feels like we had 6 episodes of like, here's a lot of, just here's your character going through some motions or whatever. And like, oh, and here's the story. Here's what we're struggling with. Here's the actual thing in the final episode.
Yeah.
As opposed to.
Yeah, for me, it's like, you even say after Nora. For me, it's like this character is just going to do this thing. And then Jesse shows up and is like, what you're doing is really fucked up, reckless, and selfish.
Yeah.
And then he dies.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wish that this was a seed we planted earlier or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, in terms of that, like you did at least pick up on a lot of times where you're like, when is she going to realize that that revenge is not like she needs to put other priorities
for sure,
you know? So in that sense, there were some seeds, you know, cause I'm remembering you like bringing those things up, but they weren't, I guess, clear.
It was hopeful though.
Yeah.
Right?
It
was more that like, I was like, oh, cool. Hopefully Ellie's like starting to realize now that there's more to live for in her life than revenge. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, it was never crystallized. Mm-hmm. Right. I feel like it was more me being hopeful that there would be some sort of realization of like, oh, choices are complicated. Mm-hmm. Maybe I shouldn't just be going to kill Abby or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I don't feel like any of that crystallized until Jesse just literally comes out and says it.
Yeah. And there's I don't
know too. I don't know if that's a performance thing, right? Mm-hmm. Like there's some of these shots with Bella where, you know, maybe I just wished I saw more struggle or consideration, or maybe it's, you know, like you're saying, like writing wise, maybe we needed like to give a little more time conversationally to like what what Ellie is thinking or struggling with when she's talking.
Yeah,
to
maybe
Dina.
it's not like exposition or conversation, but it's things that, because characters have been saying very much how they feel throughout the entire season. So it's not that I needed more of that. I think it's just the fact that there also seems to be this like bottle that you kept shaking up, you know, and the top finally popped in this episode for Ellie. That maybe it was just kept getting shaken and shaken and shaken throughout the season. I guess I just didn't see the shaking.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yes.
Like, it's like you decided to shake it at the beginning of this episode and then popped it. And I can see that there's evidence that like something is broken here.
Yeah.
You know? But I don't know that I was the shaking was happening somewhere else, like off screen.
Yeah, totally.
It was happening internally or whatever. It's just not. Yeah, I don't know. So in that sense, it falls a little flat. Pun intended.
Nice.
Nice. Oh, I did it. I brought it back.
Convergence.
I hate myself sometimes. Let's talk about this opening scene between Dina and Jesse.
Yeah.
Made it back to the theater. Great. They're okay. Not out of the woods yet. Jesse still has to get rid of this arrow. There's a whole little thing where he can't pull it out. He's got to push it through, which is, I guess I just don't know. This is common sense to me. I realize it's not common sense to a lot of people because I was a Boy Scout. So that tells me that Jesse was a Boy Scout. So
Wow.
Actually, wasn't a Boy Scout, but
that's canon now. Jesse was a Boy Scout.
I went to a thing that was, he clearly has like learned,
Yeah, he
through
knows
some
his
things.
stuff.
It was like,
Sure.
hey, like, listen, he's right. Whether or not you know where the artery is, if you have a barbed thing, an arrow or something, there's only one way it can go through. And that's where you see a lot of times where people will like break off the arrow. Also, don't ever pull something out immediately.
Yeah.
I guess this is just a good chance to mention if you ever get hit by an arrow
or stabbed, let's say.
or you stabbed for sure, like until you're ready to dress the wound and do something with it, leave it in. Because the moment you pull it out, it's bleeding.
And there's an empty space that used to be filling now.
Correct. Yeah. And especially with something barbed, which is designed to do damage, just like a hornet's or a wasp's stinger.
Yeah.
They're designed to go in easily, and when they come out, that's when they do damage. Right? Unfortunately, there's only one way that thing can go, and that needs to keep going through, if possible.
Yeah.
Luckily, it didn't hit a bone or something, and luckily there was a way to know that they could do that. I'm sure there's other ways, but at the very least, don't just pull it out.
Fucking Seraphites, man.
And he, but he does the right thing.
Yeah.
Through all of Dina's she was bothering me in that moment.
Yeah.
So when he said, "Shut the fuck up, Dina," I was like, okay, yeah. No. It's like, yep. I'm okay. I
did love it though. Then when he was like offering her a drink,
Yeah.
and she's like, "I said no."
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. She doesn't need it.
And we both know. And because I was at first, I was like, oh wow, we saw her at the dance and she's like drinking heavily. She's stealing Jesse's drink.
Jesse says it a couple scenes later. Is like the girl who's never refused a free drink.
Yeah. Again, another frustrating thing where I'm like, oh, I picked up on that, and then they say it later on. I'm like, okay, well, leave something for us. But yeah. So at least a clue for us, a clue for him. He's piecing things together pretty well. And I don't think I would have noticed that had I not known she was pregnant. I don't know if I would have pieced that together, but it is interesting that they did show Dina very much drinking heavily at the dance. So I think it's a clear an indication for him that he knows her.
Totally.
He does a thing, protects her, dresses her up. She's fine. And then it's just Jesse. And I don't know how long he's been waiting. Probably hours. And he's just like hand on gun pacing, waiting at the front of that theater. I'm just like wondering what's going on through his head.
Jeez.
Because like,
I mean, he probably
is he now like, okay, I don't know where Tommy is. Ellie was supposed to be here. She was supposed to be right behind us.
Yep.
Did she get taken by those scars? Do I go out there and find her?
Yeah.
I can't because I have this person here. And also, I have a sinking feeling that she's not telling me something.
Yeah.
And that something means I can't just leave her. We don't get much time with this, but I just noticed like he's probably been awake for a long ass time, just thinking about all these different things. And I don't know what decision he makes if Ellie doesn't walk through that door.
I mean, at that point, I'm also like, I think Jesse's probably just ready to go, right? Because it's like, he definitely cares a lot more about Dina than he does about Ellie.
Yeah.
Ellie's a fucking wild card, completely ungrateful, and also just disappeared for
I don't think
at
this point quite yet. I think he does care about Ellie, but Ellie doesn't give him an opening, right?
I think he's thinking about leaving, though. I think he's
starting
to consider
I think he's considering protecting Dina, and what does he have to do? Like, what is he going to have to do to get her out of there? Because now, especially if Ellie's gone.
Yeah.
Because
that's what I mean.
At this point, like, he doesn't even know. He didn't know. I guess he knew that they were headed to the hospital because the map was there. So he understood the triangulation thing and they marked some things on the map. And so he knew where to go and he knew where to find them and he knew where they were headed. But after running into the scars and seeing what they had done, I don't think that I think he's wondering, did she get away? And did he screw up? And should he have gone back? And, but I'd also think now he's like, I'm here to protect Dina. So I don't think he doesn't care about Ellie. But as soon as she walks through the door and says absolutely nothing to him and says, where is she? And he's like, are you going to acknowledge like me at all?
Yeah.
That's where I think he fully starts to be, I think, really hurt and really angry at Ellie.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's so weird for him because he's just been spending like how many hours like worrying like as a parent, or for him like a brother for Ellie. Like that, this is very much I feel like we know, and we're going to get to understand like how close they are, and they have been. The first time we meet Jesse is when he's training her.
Mm-hmm.
He's very much and he also is the one that convinces her to write things down. He's there for her. He supports her.
Yeah.
And he worries about her. And I think he doesn't. I think he's relieved that it's Ellie, and the fact that Ellie just pushes right past him, I think really, really hurts him.
Yeah, it's shitty.
Yeah. It's a small moment, but I think we're focusing. I think this episode really is like Jesse and Ellie in this relationship, which I really, really love. And we don't get much of that in the game. This is a very different.
We're certainly not going to get any more of it.
Whoa. So yeah, just a small thing. Also, how dare they? That the code that he
talk.
needs, he's like, what is the name of your horse
that you abandoned?
Sorry. Yeah. Unfortunately, Jesse, I don't think they even remember the name of the horse because they don't even remember where that horse is because that horse is like great. Also, the fact that they brought it up, that my first thought was like, these showrunners, how dare they do this to us? We haven't heard about Shimmer this whole time. And this is what it was like, what is the name of your horse? How about where is this horse?
How did PETA sign off on this?
But yeah, I just noticed that she was being really, really fucking rude to Jesse.
Yeah.
And just disregards him. And I think that hurts. That's going to hurt him. And I think it's going to come into play like later on. She'd go straight to Dina, finds out she's okay. And then Dina notices that Ellie's hurt and starts dressing her wounds, right? I just noticed this is a lot of damage to her. This is an image we get like in the game after you've gone through places like Hillcrest and places like the hospital and places like other things, and there's a whole lot of like damage that she's endured that Dina wasn't there for.
Okay.
When she gets back to the theater, feels like a little bit much here.
Well, because I was gonna ask you, I was like, wait, why is her back all scratched up? I was like, did I miss something?
I assumed that's the thing, is like you didn't miss anything unless it's something that they didn't. It is a weird thing from the game that I feel like they put in but isn't justified here, because it makes sense that like she would be totally scratched up after going on this like adventure and like jumping around, and like she dealt with stalkers and then the Seraphites and then like chasing after Nora. But the fact that it's all like isolated kind of like to her back, and also Dina was there.
Yeah.
So is she not, what damage did she, I guess she didn't get surrounded by stalkers. I guess we're supposed to assume that's where it happened. And she also didn't get chased through the woods and then go do. So Dina's not, it's really weird to me.
That's what
I don't want to be nitpicky here,
but there's like,
but it is like, it's a lot.
And there's like multiple shots where we're supposed to be like, oh, Dina's seen something new and learning something about Ellie is like very clearly the implication. And I'm like, when the fuck did that happen?
And these are not bite marks either.
No,
and
I'm scratches.
Like, and so I'm like, it makes sense in context of the game because of how much she has gone through. And Dina wasn't there for most of that.
But
right?
This ain't the game.
This isn't the game though. And so it does feel, and you do a lot of crawling around too. Not on your back though.
I was about to say, so fucking what? But she crawl fucking ass backwards like through a fucking rose bush? Like what?
This does feel a little bit superfluous in terms of the imagery, but I guess it's fine. Gets her a chance to get her shirt off, and then Dina can play doctor for her, and the real wounds are the ones that are inside.
You hear that, everyone?
I'm sorry. We can stop this podcast.
Now you really hate
I think
yourself.
we can just stop it here.
No. Let's talk about our
The Last of Us for the friends we made along the way, Morgan.
Oh God. I should have brought myself a drink.
What's eating her up inside, Morgan? What's going on?
Oh boy. Well, we did it. This is good. We solved it. The Last of Us. Emotional trauma.
No, that's a real question. What do you think's obviously. Explain to me what's going on here.
I mean, I think this is like the first, we talked a lot at the top of the episode about like arc and what's Ellie's journey or whatever. And I think this is the first time we get a real scene that's like Ellie is struggling with her choices. Good, as she should be. She did some fucked up shit. But yeah, she tells all right about Salt Lake City and what she did to Nora. And I love that they have Dina say like she got what she deserved. And Ellie's like, maybe she didn't. Like, good. This is the consideration that, a thoughtful, hopefully feeling human being has after doing something horrible. I was glad that existed.
Yeah. It seems like Dina there's that consideration. I also think that Dina is just kind of supporting.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right, too, because Dina's been supporting pretty blindly this whole time. Now, she knows a lot more about Joel.
That's when the shift happens, right? But
Then
before
it's like-
that, she's still like, okay, you're just hearing about Nora.
Yeah,
It's like, maybe, she got what she deserved. And
You're avenging the death of your father.
yeah,
and
this
it's
is what we were here for.
Right. And then it's, well, let me tell you a little bit more about my
And
dad.
also she was already infected. And also you didn't kill her. I don't
It's like,
believe Ellie.
That's not really the full, yeah.
I do not believe Ellie in that moment. We never know, to be fair. In the game, as far as I know, in the game or here, we never know if Ellie killed Nora. But here she says bluntly, like, I left her. But I don't believe her.
I mean, even if she wasn't literally dead yet, Ellie killed her. You beat,
right.
I mean, you beat someone
by bringing
with a
her,
pipe to the point. I mean, like, she's gonna bleed out and die down there for sure.
Yeah, probably.
Like, even though her heart may still have been beating when she walked away, she's gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, she for sure killed her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's not. Are you kidding me?
No, yeah, for sure.
No way.
But I do love Bella's performance there and the struggle she's going with.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little frustrating because I needed subtitles.
Oh, really?
I couldn't hear.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear. She was whispering, which is great performance wise. Makes perfect sense, like but I couldn't.
Okay, this makes me want to talk about something that happens in the same scene, because I understood everything she said when talking about Nora and relating, catching Dina up on Salt Lake City and all this stuff. I caught all of that, but when she says the bit about what she got out of Nora information wise,
that's the part, right?
Yeah, I was like,
that's early
like,
on.
I was like,
whales and wheels.
I heard whale, I thought, and then another word that I was like, what the fuck? And I was so fucking relieved that we like get to see the whale in like 2 or 3 scenes later, and we figured it out. Because I was like, what the fuck did she say? I was like, oh no, I'm going to be clueless on what we're looking for or what we're going for.
I watched the episode twice, and the first time I actually did watch it with subtitles so I could understand every word. And then I went back and watched everything without subtitles. I was like, I already know what happens. I don't need subtitles. But even then, she was just whispering, and I'm like, what? When exactly did she just say there?
Is the line you said whales and wheels?
Yes.
What's the
whales
wheels?
and wheels? The Ferris wheel.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just whale and wheel.
Wow. That's a weird, I don't know.
I don't know that. I don't know if I would have caught that without.
That feels like some weird cryptic video gamey shit where I'm like, in real life, I'm like, why wouldn't she have just said the aquarium? Why are Nora's last words to her a riddle?
I actually don't recall. This is something I had a question about with my friends who had played the game last night. I was like, did she ever get any actionable intel from Nora from before?
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure she didn't get anything from Nora. If I recall correctly. So it's weird that they gave it to us here. It seems more for later on that she got 2 words and it was just like, it is cryptic. It's very much like whatever. But I don't think, you're right. Because I don't know. Because that's my question, right? Is literally just giving us that so that we can say like, oh, Ellie, it worked.
Oh, I figured it out.
Right?
It's like,
that she got some intel and it led her to so that she can figure it out later, right? That it would be worth it in a sense, because otherwise you make Ellie even more unlikable if she didn't get anything. Right? Is it more of a writer's thing as opposed to like because here's the thing is torture, arguably, and empirically through data has shown to not work. We've seen through the war on terrorism that, like, hey, we actually have never gotten much intelligence, if anything at all, from torture.
Yeah.
And it's weird that they would. I'm trying to remember. Someone else can remind me if they've played the game, but I don't remember if they got any information from Nora the game. And I think that was a better decision than just to do it here, to just to give us like, oh, hey, it wasn't all for nothing for Ellie. Like, she at least did get something from her.
Yeah.
Which whether or not it was actual, we could understand it or it makes sense or whatever, that she got something, right?
Yeah.
Seems like what that was for, but I think it would have been better had she not, because I think that would make her decision and her questioning and everything that she did feel more.
I mean, well, we can talk about that too, because
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if she finds Abby then, if she gets nothing out of it.
That's true.
But I just don't understand why Nora's last fucking words were a riddle. Why didn't she just say the aquarium? That feels weird. Like a device that a writer just uses so that a scene and a half later, the main character can go, "Oh, whales, whales. It was the aquarium." I'm like, why would Nora not have just said that? That's just, it's like she's a joker.
I don't know. To be fair, like, I don't know if Nora's gone to the aquarium, so she might not know what an aquarium is. Like, because it's an old world thing. She's seen the painting of the whale and she's seen the wheel, like, and they're walking around the patrols on Seattle, and maybe she's like, that's the whale and wheel, and maybe someone didn't point out to the aquarium. I guess you could justify it. I don't feel like I need to justify it here. I don't know. That's just,
they call the hospital the hospital and the bookstore.
I'm stretching. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. This is a weird. It's a thing from the writers. I don't know that. But whatever. The point is she's stressed.
Yeah.
We'll get back. I don't know. Beyond all that, she does tell the story of what Joel did, and not only what Joel did, but she knew about it. And she admits to Dina, like, I did know. I didn't know that these were fireflies. I didn't know that's why they killed him. But I did know what he did. And there's a change in Dina.
Yep.
Why do you think that Dina changes? Why do you think her demeanor, her shifts?
I mean, ostensibly because, like, she understands why Abby did what she did now. Because Joel is not, I mean, this is a side of Joel that she's probably heard about, but now she understands more fully why Joel was complicated, right? I think also she just sees the weight that this has on Ellie. That's kind of like, okay. But yeah, I think that's what I think.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a fundamental shift of her relationship with Joel. Because this isn't the Joel that she was learning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because even before she was like, he doesn't deserve what he got.
Yep.
No one deserved that. He doesn't deserve that.
Like,
and then, like, and I would go, if I would hunt this person down forever if that, like, happened to, like, one of my family.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing that, like, again, we keep having, it's like the show and the game was to keep relitigating, did Joel do the right thing?
Yeah.
Was Joel being selfish? Should we, would we have made the decision any differently? I think this is showing us that Dina's, not only did she find out, like, Ellie was immune, now she's finding out, like, wait, they were going to make a cure?
Yeah.
And Joel stops that?
Yeah. I mean, there's other ways to frame it too, right? It's like I agree. She gets a big piece of the picture of who Joel was, and that reframes it. I think also, right, she knows that Ellie's immune already, but it's possible that the idea of, like, hey, scientists might actually be able to cure this thing with Ellie. It could also be the first time that she's just like, oh, my partner's extremely valuable, not just to me, but to the world. And this like revenge mission is like needlessly dangerous, right? It could also be that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's a lot going on here. I think I think there's part of that could be the cure was there and they could have had it. She would have lost Ellie. She wouldn't have gotten to know Ellie, but there would have been a cure. But then Joel took that from everyone. But also she's recognizing that the Joel that she thought she knew wasn't there. And it's weird because we live in this point in this world where people kill other people. And in our world, in the real world, we can see what Joel did as like pretty bad.
Yeah.
In relative to the world that they live in, doesn't always seem that bad, but she reacts in a way that feels like, oh, Joel was a bad person. Mm-hmm. Or much worse than I recognize.
Yep.
And we know that she was seeing Joel in this way. And I don't know that it's quite needs to be that bad. Because again, relative to the rest of the world, maybe people have done worse things. You know, Joel wasn't a raider. He did it for someone, right? He saved Ellie. If without that, you know, Dina, you wouldn't be here. So there's clear indication that this revenge thing it's not these guys did something to us that doesn't make sense, that makes us justified to coming after them. It's that Joel technically started this.
Yeah.
And it's weird how I think she's like at that moment, maybe kind of understanding that the journey that they're on is not the journey that she thought. And she's breaking the cycle herself.
Mm-hmm.
Because she realizes this just keeps going back. Who did what?
Yeah.
And Dina is smart enough to be like, I think we need to go home.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't want to be part of that cycle anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's a huge shift. I wrote down that we need to go home feels like it's masking that this isn't right to her. This is no longer a righteous quest. It's no longer a righteous journey.
Yeah.
There's no justice to be had here. Which kind of sucks because she's basically saying like that Joel doesn't matter to her, knowing what he did, that maybe he did deserve it. She's going back on what she said before, that she doesn't know if she can quite say that he doesn't deserve it anymore.
You're allowed to change your mind when you're getting more information.
Yeah, but that's a rough thing because we were like, yeah, no, maybe Joel didn't deserve that. Also, maybe Nora didn't deserve anything. But that's right. That's the question. Is like who deserved what, and whether or not she still believes. Did Joel deserve what he got, or is it just like at this point, this has just become too much for her?
It turns out the politics of killing people is complicated. It's once you start saying someone deserves to die, gonna piss a lot of people off, probably.
Probably. Yeah. So it's who gets to make that decision?
I don't know.
I think Dina doesn't want to make that decision anymore.
I wouldn't want to make that decision.
Yeah. Anyway, we wake up. It's day 3.
It is.
Jesse and Ellie are.
Does day 3 mean anything? Sorry, in the game. I like understand day one is like the
Whoa.
like sequence of like, okay, Seattle, day one.
Yeah.
Is it just like a reminder that, oh, it's only been 3 days? Or is there like, is it an Easter egg or a nod for something if you're playing the game?
Yeah, no, so this is very much jumping ahead because this is what the ending is. And so we'll talk about it later. Day 1, day 2, day 3, putting those in bold letters is a marker for us. There are a lot of little markers to show you where you are on the timeline because we're going to revisit day 1, day 2, and day 3 from Abby's perspective.
Yeah.
And so just knowing what's happening here in day 3, now whenever we see day 3 or day 1 at the end of the episode, now we know that we're talking about the same exact day 1.
Got it.
Day 1 of Seattle, when Ellie and Dina arrived, is day 1 when Abby woke up into that theater. And it's just going to be a marker.
Yeah.
Essentially, to show that when you see day 3 again, this is what was happening.
Here was something that
somewhere
was
else
going on simultaneously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Which would have been a kind of a spoiler because, but they showed you. Abby's perspective is going to be a big part of season 3. And we'll get to that though. So Ellie's trying to smooth things over with Jesse, asking for ammo and stuff, but he's kind of being cold about some things. Seems like he's really angry. This is where I'm like, okay, now they've went through the whole night and he still doesn't know what's happened. He's still being kept at arm's length. Also, he's just been left with his thoughts, and we know that what he's been trying to piece together and figure out this whole journey that they've been going on, right?
Yeah.
And I think at this point he has pieced some things together, and he knows like this is where he is after the whole night or however long that they've been there, that Ellie and Dina are in love. And of course, when Dina comes out, Jesse's still trying to just be pragmatic and logical. It's like, you shouldn't be on your leg. And she just kind of like walks past him. She's not coming to Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't give Jesse the bracelet.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think also kind of hurts him again. Like, he came and he saved,
Yeah.
he saved these two.
They're definitely
and they're
dead
both,
without him.
neither of them. And I just like helped you pull. Has either of you said thank you to Jesse? Have either of you told Jesse, I am glad you're here? Or have you just been yelling at him since he got here and go straight past him and to give Ellie a bracelet? And how loving this is, right? But to Jesse is like, what am I, chopped
Cool.
liver?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. You have any thoughts about giving this bracelet up? No.
Bracelet didn't do much for me.
I wrote down, well, if only she gave it to Jesse, because
I mean, my thought was just like, no, damn, this is Watch 2.0.
this is Watch 2.0.
It's the other thing you can wear on your wrist.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, well, yeah, it's just foreshadowing, I guess. I don't know. Of whatever. Jesse clearly is. They're going to go out and find Tommy. They can't just go home. They need to go figure out if Tommy's still around. And he's like, I'm going to go do this. You guys can stay here. Clearly you guys are in love and I don't need and you don't want me here. So I'm just going to go. He starts kind of pushing himself away from the thing. Ellie says, no, like, we're going to go. And so they do. And on their walk, they're kind of talking. I can see on Ellie's face that she's like, how do I cross this bridge?
Yeah.
How do I do it? And she's like, are you ever going to say like how you found us? Which I thought we already like understood.
Well, Ellie doesn't understand triangulation. Remember?
Yeah. he's like, are you ever going to tell me what happened to you last night? And she doesn't answer. There's a clear understanding. It's like, you got to give something, right?
That's right.
You got to give something. And I think Jesse, I find it very big of him to, even though at first he puts up the wall, like the very next moment, he's like, okay, I'll tell you. Here's how I found you. Also, you didn't care about Shimmer, which confirmation, Shimmer's okay. He said, he's okay.
I mean,
that was for you guys.
Shimmer's probably had some drama on the road to recovery. Let's say that. You don't get left alone in a war zone for a couple days and not come out with at least someone's in here.
I mean, to be fair, he did also just leave the horse there. So,
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on, but it seems like very much for us. At least we know now, though. Shimmer's okay
For now.
Exactly where he left, and I guess he was fine enough in that music shop, going through, I don't know, Billy Joel's album collection or something. So
Probably.
Albumography. What is it called? Discography. That's it. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. This is a moment where I'm starting to realize that Ellie took everything that she had felt for Joel and started putting it on Dina. There's a clear correlation there that she's been keeping Jesse at arm's length. She still won't tell him anything.
Yeah.
That she keeps pushing back. She keeps being rude to him or whatever, and not recognizing why Jesse is there, but only sees Jesse and Tommy as things that are trying to pull her back and to keep her away, right, from her ultimate goal, right? And Dina is now that's her community, right? That's what she says later, my community was Joel. And now that turned into her and Dina. And I know we've talked about it before, but there's a clear wall that she's put up between her and everyone else that's not part of that immediate community. And I think it's weird because the showrunners talk a little bit about addiction in terms of Ellie's rage coming back later on, when it's presented to her later when she sees the whale in the wheel. That's putting alcohol in front of an alcoholic and saying it's one thing to be I'm not going to drink, but then you put it in front of them. What are they going to do? And Ellie can't say no. And they say it there. My interpretation is her addiction is more the people that she is close to, right? The person that's in her world, and it goes from Riley to maybe Marlene, but not really, to eventually Joel. And then without Joel, she puts literally everything on Dina. That she has an inability to share with anyone else, that this is a codependency or this kind of addiction that she has to latch herself onto a singular person, and no one else really matters.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just seeing here, this is what I noticed probably in this scene, how much she has put that wall up between her and everyone else, so that she can't see anyone else's side or their perspective. She can't see why Tommy or Jesse are there. Doesn't matter. Really, the only thing that matters is her, Joel, and Dina. Joel's gone, but now her and Dina. And now that Dina is pulling away, I think she's struggling.
Yeah. I mean, another way of kind of framing it, and I see what you're saying totally, is that a lot of Ellie's behavior, throughout the course of what we've seen in the show, is it's always her and one person versus the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she's never societally integrated. It's always, there's this one other person with me and fuck everyone else. Kind of like that's just how she operates, you know? She doesn't build multiple relationships with people. It's I don't have time for anyone but my person. You know? It's very kind of like cellular existence.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know if she's reaching out or trying to seek something out with like Jesse because of the fact that like she's done this, and now that Dina is pulling her away, I don't know where she's kind of like at, but
Yeah.
it seems like there's that struggle like going on with her, right? Which maybe we'll talk about more as we go along. This doesn't have to change anything. And Jesse's like, everything changing doesn't have to change things.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is interesting. We're averse to change, human beings, right? We don't want things to change. We like things being the way that they are.
Yeah.
I feel like this is just like common sense. And he rightfully says like, yeah, like things are changing, and things changed for me. Well, we'll keep talking about this, but I think what he's saying there is like, I keep bringing on the fact that like Jesse is hurt, and I think he would have been here. I think if they had asked him, like he would also be on this journey. But the moment he found out he was a father, things did change, and he realizes things have already changed. That it's going to change things, and it's changed what I care about right now and what matters to me. And this thing that Ellie is like trying to seek, like, let's just be, you know, we've done this before. We've trained together. We understand each other. We're like siblings, you know, that we can have a connection. Like this doesn't, you know, have to change anything between us. He's like, nope, like things, I'm not on this journey with you. I'm not on this, whatever you're here for, whatever you want to do, I'm not here for that anymore. Now I'm here just to get you. I'm here to get Dina and my child out. If you want to be a part of that or not, whatever. I'm going to go get Tommy and that's it. Some clear things being brought up here. And the main thing, yeah, it's clear like his priorities have changed, and he's not. Is that what Ellie's been like pushing up against this entire time? Is that she doesn't want things to change? Is this the first time she's realizing that things are going to change?
Yeah.
Because I think that, again, things were going okay with Dina. Things weren't changing. Things were feeling like they were going and progressing the way that they wanted to. Like, obviously, things changed with Joel. But when she has this, she doesn't want things to change with the relationship, the person that she's with, the one person. And I think she wants to like expand that, but things are changing. Things change with Dina. And it's, again, this is like this reaching out, this struggle of her being like, no, well, things are changing with Dina. They don't have to change. And she's saying it to Jesse in terms of them two, what their relationship is. And I think she's really just like lashing out in terms of something changed with Dina.
Yeah.
And I don't want this to change. It shouldn't be changing. This is not what I wanted. I don't know. It seems to be small little moments in these things. Again, this is going to keep pushing back against her.
Yeah.
Like, what have you been dealing with, and what's going to be like presented to you? Jesse and Ellie are at odds. These are two ideologies that are at odds. But yeah. all he says is, I can't die because I'm going to be a father.
Whoops.
Yep. Not a clear, unfortunate little foreshadowing.
I mean,
just makes it more heartbreaking, that he,
yeah.
I'll be honest. I think in the game, does he know that Dina is pregnant? I'm not even sure if I remember whenever he dies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just more heartbreaking that so close.
Yeah.
So like what he wanted and how things are changing for him. And then it just gets taken away from him. Right. Anything about this scene real quick before we move on that you have?
I mean, I want to read what I wrote down because it's so unfortunately on the nose.
Sure.
I wrote, Jesse finally tells Ellie off. Good. Maybe she's finally going to start feeling the consequences of her actions. Oh, no. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. We'll see. There's this very small moment I don't want to skip over where we see another painting of the prophet.
Oh, I wrote about this too.
And she's like, oh, there's two of them. And he's like,
She says there's more than one of them.
Yeah. And she's like, he doesn't give a shit. He's not caring as much about this.
But what was that about?
This is a good time to bring up a fan theory that I've seen.
Okay.
Because I don't know what that's about.
You don't?
And I have no idea.
I just assumed this is a wink to the game or something.
Nope. I have no clue.
Whoa.
But here's the fan theory. The first time we saw a photo or a painting on the wall of the prophet.
I thought this was the first time we saw the prophet.
No, we saw another one early on in episode. It was day 2.
Okay.
It was before Nora. It was when they first go out and they'd see the Seraphite bodies.
Yeah.
And it says, feel her love. And it's a picture of the prophet.
I remember.
And then it says, feel this
bitch. Yeah. Or whatever. Yeah. I remember the writing, but I don't remember a photo.
Yeah. It was another painting.
Image, yeah.
It was a painting, white woman. This one is a painting of a black woman.
Yeah.
So they're very different images of the prophet. What we know of the game and what I have told you and what they have told us is that the prophet died 10 years ago. The prophet does not live anymore. So what's interesting to me about this fan theory, and I don't know if could be harebrained, and I thought it was not worth bringing up because it was like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But now that we're showing a different painting and a different prophet, now I'm confused because that's new.
Yeah.
And so there's an idea going around that Hanrahan, is it Hanrahan? Hanrahan. Isaac's right-hand woman, the one that he meets early on.
Yeah.
The one which I think, if we look at the timeline, might have been like 10 years before the current timeline. I can't remember. And then also, anyway, you know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
Could be the prophet based on the painting that we saw a couple of episodes ago.
What the fuck does that mean?
But she doesn't have any scars. And so it's questionable, again, to me, if the scars are her thing or if they just painted that. What do they know of the prophet? I don't know. And I don't know where. This is a weird fan theory that's coming out of nowhere, but it is interesting because this is a new character we haven't seen before in the game, Hanrahan. And also now we're saying that there might be multiple prophets. And also I'm picking up on the fact that maybe the Seraphites have corrupted the prophet's teachings. Like, I don't know. Or maybe this is some weird game that the prophet is playing to infiltrate the WLF for whatever reason. But I don't know. It seems a little harebrained, but it's going around. And now because we're dealing with, there's more than one, maybe that is something.
Yeah, is there intentionally more than one? Were there like 3?
What? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. And is one of them in the WLF?
I gotta say, if you have theories on this, get in the comments. I want to hear everybody's theories on this shit. Because now I'm super interested.
This is literally like...
I was convinced you were going to tell me, oh yeah, so in the game they explain that the Seraphites have 2 lady prophets, or like, oh, there's a new one every 2 years, or whatever it is. So I'm shocked that this is not, something that's canon in the game or whatever.
This is clearly something that either they were going to do in the game and then left it out, as with most things here with the Seraphites and in this episode.
Yeah.
Or it's something just completely new that they decided to expand on.
Yeah.
This is, as far as I know, not even in journals or supplemental material. Like, you can't just figure it out. I don't know any of this whatsoever.
We'll get to the bottom of it.
But literally this moment seems to just be like to plant some sort of seed for a season 3 thing. And so it's not something to just dismiss. And so I guess, we'll see if the fan... now I guess there's something to theorize about. This is not a theory-heavy show for me. But now there's something to theorize about. So what is going on with this prophet? Why are there more of them? I guess now I have to we'll figure this out. Yeah. Hopefully next season.
Get some more Seraphite lore.
Yeah. But that's it. It's just a little hint. Anyway, so we go on to, speaking of the Seraphites, before they can get to the bookstore, they run into some WLF who are chasing a Seraphite boy. I love this new phrasing that the Seraphite boy has. I've never heard before, but this kind of like mantra that, they've already been saying, like, may she guide us, that kind of thing. But what he's saying here, repeating over and over and over again: the world is not in balance, but I have done my part to right it. The world is not in balance, but I've done my part to right it. She has led me through the storm, and now I must rest. He's like coming to terms with this. I'm going to die here.
Yep.
But I love this idea. I think whether or not they do it correctly or not, whether or not I agree with the Scars and their way of doing things.
Yeah.
He's not wrong. The prophet, if this is something from the prophet, is not wrong. The world is not in balance.
Yeah.
I've done my part to right it. And so that's interesting, because that's, I guess, the Seraphite's ultimate kind of goal here is to right the scales, to right the balance. Can't have too much of one thing, right? It's clearly something's changed. The world's not in balance.
Whatever that means. It's spooky.
Yeah, it's spooky. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I want to know more.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this theory that you got? What is this belief?
Yeah. I mean, if you can't tell already from me asking you to get in the comments with your theories on Seraphite lore, it's like, I'm all about this shit. I'm like, cults are fascinating. Really, the formation of, extremist groups is always interesting. And I'm like, I'd be super down for a full season just on like where the fuck the Seraphites came from. Yeah.
And I just need to know, like, what does balance look like to them? Because what we've seen of the Seraphites so far is just killing indiscriminately and through very violent means.
Barbaric. Yeah. Yeah.
Granted, it's very ceremonial. And so these traditions, these things that they believe,
Thank
there's
God.
a reason, they're giving back to, they're helping others find their way to, and by doing that, that's bringing balance to some, I don't know. Balance is interesting. I hope we get more of this theme later on.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like to be doing too much, but I do like just the phrasing of the idea that the world is not in balance. I do feel like I understand what's being said there. And it's like, right, we have seen very much through the entirety of the first season and this season. It's like, the world's not in balance. We're very much out of balance, right?
Yeah.
And when we talk about the world too, when we talk about our balance, let me be a little bit on the nose here. Ellie's world right now is not in balance.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jesse brings it up later. It's like, especially in this scene, like, this is not our war.
Yeah.
So, which reminds us of reminds me of the phrase, like, everyone that you meet or run into on the street is just fighting their own little internal battles or their own war, right? So there's the world, and then there's our internal worlds. There's the wars, and then there's our wars.
Yeah.
And there's clearly a struggle going on with Ellie. Something is not in balance. So it's, even though it's completely different, it's separate. The Seraphite boy is saying this. I think what we're supposed to understand is that something else is going on with Ellie's world, that she's not in balance. And so they have this argument. She wants to save the Seraphite boy.
Yeah.
She wants to do it. Jesse's being pragmatic. It's like, no, there's like 6 of them. They all have guns. It's just 2 of us. This is not our mission. What are we going to do? This is their thing. He's being logistical about this. The showrunners say that Ellie sees herself in the Seraphite boy because she was saved once. Maybe because it's a kid, it changes things for her. But I don't think I believe that. I don't think I saw that or understood. What do you see? What are you thinking? Why does Ellie want to save this boy?
I think mostly, yeah. I didn't get the sees herself thing in it. I think she just sees the WLF as Fedra, or like, or some fascist fucking group of dudes with guns, and is like, this is fucked up. Mm-hmm. They're hunting down an unarmed kid. They're fascist pigs. Fuck them. That's what I saw.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think if I could see anything, and I don't know if the showrunners agree, but I'm seeing, again, this boy talks about the world is not in balance. We know that Ellie is struggling. Her world is not in balance. And we know at the very beginning of the episode, we know what she did. We know what she's struggling with. We know that she feels like she went a little bit too far. I think she's overcompensating.
I thought you were going to be like, she wants to be a Seraphite.
No, I think she's like, I did something bad and I need to right it.
She's got she's feeling the guilt and is like,
yep, I need the balance, the scales of justice or whatever. I need to do something here.
I like that a lot.
I need to fix it.
Yeah.
And I see someone that's in trouble and it's just a kid. And maybe she does see a little bit of herself. I don't know.
She's someone who's presenting as
I think
innocent.
that's it. It's like, I have to do something because what's eating her up is the thing that did Nora deserve?
Right.
What I did. And that was in the moment. And here I'm being presented with, can I do a good thing? Can I do a good thing?
Yeah.
I haven't done a good thing.
Yeah.
But can I do a good thing?
I love that. I think that's great.
Yeah. And again, emphasizing that for her world is not in balance. The scale is heavily weighing down in that guilt that you said.
Guilt or injustice.
Whatever it is on one side.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's what I see.
Cool.
This is another moment where Jesse, I think multiple times this episode is just so much more heartbreaking. It's like the ways that he gets out of almost dying. It's like, no, I'm not going to die for you and your ideals right now. And your sense of justice or whatever it is. Like, no. And he avoids it like once again.
Yeah.
Before we get to the bookstore, we cut away.
I'm sorry. I'm just framing now this episode as like, for Jesse, it's just an episode of he's in the Final Destination movie. he's just literally like dodging all these death traps, but it's like, nah, man, you can't walk away from death. It's gonna get you eventually.
Oh, if only he had the bracelet.
Yeah, wow.
We cut to Isaac war planning mode.
I wrote, yay, Isaac.
Yay, Isaac.
Yeah.
Just because you like Jeffrey Wright?
Yes. Look, Isaac's a bad dude. I'm not trying to say that he's the hero we all need. I'm saying that anytime that Jeffrey Wright's on screen, I'm like, let's fucking go.
It's great. It's an interesting scene because it seems to set up a little bit of like how much he cares about Abby. And it also shows us, one, I think it is interesting. Again, we're placing ourselves in a timeline that at this point, Owen, Mel, Abby, and Nora, I don't think they found Nora, but she's missing.
Yeah.
Her whole crew, except for Manny. Manny's the only one, but they have plenty of Manny's, as Sergeant Park says.
As she says.
Also, Sergeant, are you an officer? Because you talk about the officers. You're not. The sergeants are not officers. Can we figure out what the ranking system is?
I think that for like, wait, look, you have real military experience, right? For what it's worth, I think that this is just like post-apocalyptic folks treating themselves like military, giving themselves titles and shit.
Oh, they're playing it? They're LARPing?
Kind of. Do you think actually that any of them were in the military pre-apocalypse?
Well, we know that Isaac was in Fedra, so he was a police.
I don't mean Isaac.
Force.
I mean the foot soldiers.
Oh,
right?
sure.
I'm like, come on, no way.
I think some of them have played militia before, but yeah, there's definitely some people that wanted this to happen, which is a fun, interesting thing that I've wanted to deal with in terms of my own zombie apocalypse property. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's just I just don't know. To me, it's like, wait, she's Sergeant Park. Has she raised in rank? Because it feels like she's more important here. I guess that's my question is like, you feel like I didn't expect it to be her. I expected that to be Hanrahan.
Was she lieutenant the first time we meet her?
I thought it was Sergeant Park.
Was it? I don't remember.
I thought it was Sergeant Park.
Because, I mean, ostensibly, I could see her getting a promotion after what she did.
Maybe she did.
In B2.
I missed it completely. I'm only bringing it up because I said her name as Sergeant Park and recognizing that's the same person. And I'm like, wait a second. She talks about the officers. And I'm only just now piecing it together. So I have no idea. I was like, would she be here? Is she important enough? I don't know. This is all stuff maybe we'll figure it out next season. It really feels like this scene is literally just here to again tease next season, and which is really frustrating to me because it's like, okay, don't forget Jeffrey Wright's here. We have an actor that we want to put into a scene and give you like a little. We can't just leave you without him. You know, I also got to say that like I almost never say this about this show. Yeah, there's some writing that really bothered me in this scene. Just like. I didn't even write it down exactly because it made me cringe, but he says something where like not even Jeffrey Wright could pull this off where he's like, yeah, like we need Abby. She's that important. Who's going to lead us? Yeah. Who secures our future? Who leads them?
Yeah. And I'm like, that's just like the most like,
this is literally
expositional. Let me just tell you the character's important without showing you why.
It really is just there to remind you about Abby.
I'm like, they really have to say this to each other? They've all been working together. They know this shit, but they don't know this? I'm like, what? It's almost like there's a third person in the room who's like, you know,
she's like
mole with a wire on trying to make sure the cops can get him saying that she's important before the sting goes.
She's like, why is Abby so important to you? And he does that thing. And it's supposed to, I think, convince us and remind us of Abby and like who she is. Yeah. And also like what's going to be important about her like next season. But it doesn't, it feels very telly, not showy.
Yeah.
You know, it's like because here's the thing. What I do love is that we do see like how loyal her crew is to her at the very beginning of the season, that Abby is leading and she's very good at leading and she's able to get people on her side and that she does hold a position of prominence within that group specifically. And I could see and I can understand that possibly that's going to present itself later on, that we're going to see how much she's able to lead and how much power she kind of has with the rest of other soldiers and things like that. How much people rely on her and stuff. And I hope we do next season. But it does feel very much like, hey, don't forget, this is Abby. So the audience just remembers, like, this is a person. There is a little bit of like, oh, what is up? Why are all the fireflies missing?
Yeah.
This has been 3 months, recall, since they got back to Seattle, supposedly. And so, or I don't know how long they've been back in Seattle. I don't know if it took them 3 months to get there, but it's been 3 months since Joel. And it is supposed to be a curious thing, but we're not going to pay it off until next season. So it's a curious thing. Like, why are these people missing? What is going on?
Yeah.
So maybe we'll see more of that, but it is very much this is just a tease, right?
Yeah.
This is just the thing. So it feels a little frustrating as a scene. It's glad we get Jeffrey right. I do love a little bit of the acknowledgement of like, you're not the first old man to like a young woman, you know? And it's like, yeah, in this world of these new rules, I wouldn't be surprised. We see this kind of thing happen all the time when we've seen it in a lot of the, with the Mad Max things, you know, a person in a position of power, taking a whole bunch of wives and concubines and young girls or whatever. So of course someone in this world would probably do that or be there. So I kind of love the acknowledgement that we kind of forgo the rules for whatever reason. And that's an interesting thing that she would be like, just put it on the table. Like, I don't feel like beating around the bush about it, you know?
Sure.
But of course we don't get anything more of that. And of course that's not what he thinks. He just thinks, yeah, this is a person who leads. This is our future. Kind of shows me that like, what is that future though? What is the WLF's future? Because we only see them as militaristic. What does Isaac want here?
Yeah. Also
beyond loyalty, is he setting up something that is this his version of, I hate to bring a good show, and they're both good shows. I'm sorry. I hate to bring Andor into this and Star Wars. I always bring Star Wars into this, but like, does Isaac see himself as like the revolutionary, like, Luthen? Have you seen Andor?
No.
Oh, well, there's a character named Luthen played by, a Skarsgård, Stellan Skarsgård. I think it's Stellan, right? I don't know. There's so many Skarsgårds.
There are. Talented family.
This is the father Skarsgård, the elder Skarsgård, right?
Yeah.
Luthen is a revolution. He goes on this huge monologue, a soliloquy, if you will, in the first season of Andor, where he's like, what do I fight for? The sunrise I'm never going to see. Blah, 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 blah. It's so amazing of a soliloquy. And it's like, does Isaac think he's that? Because it feels like this is a dead man walking, that he doesn't even know what future he's setting up, that he's just doing a thing. He's trying to set a foundation that he was never going to be a part of it. I just don't I don't know, because I don't know we're going to get that until season 3, but I guess that's what I'm supposed to be getting. Is that what we're supposed to be seeing? I don't know. I'm bringing up questions that we don't have answers to.
Yeah.
I don't know. And maybe I'm just like overthinking it because there really was nothing else to the scene.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. There was one other thing for me that was also like, in the process of Isaac explaining why Abby's important, he's also like, it's very likely that you and me will be dead tomorrow. And I was like, what? Why? Like, I didn't have any context. Like, I was like, why? Because you have a murder-suicide pact with each other? Like, what is fucking happening?
That's true. It's not very clear. I wish they had more activity going on in that tent.
And like,
it's clear to me. I played the game. He's in this war room situation. They're about to go to war.
Right.
So he's preparing for that. They've been gathering supplies. They've been gathering their soldiers. She's coming in to report they're about to go to war.
Yeah.
And we're going to see that later on when they get on the boats and stuff like that. But it's true. You don't have that context.
Exactly. It's like, we get it later. They get on the boats and like, you know, we'll talk about another scene in the woods with the Seraphites. Yeah. But like, at that point I was like, why are they going to die?
Yeah. I'll be honest though. It's also
And also, like, if you're gonna die, why isn't if you are likely to die, why isn't Abby likely to die? I don't know, but yeah,
who knows? Who knows? I don't know. Who knows who's gonna die? Who's not gonna die? It's a good question. It's a good question of like, why was there a bunch of WLF chasing a Seraphite boy? For like, just let him go. You're about to go to war. Like, why does this one matter? If you're like so close to like, it is really weird. The context. It's not a clear indication.
Yeah.
I think it could have been made more clear. Probably just makes the scene stand out even more. It's like, I think this is a good scene. Probably. Maybe the context is going to make more sense in season 3 though. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
Here we are again. You and me in bad weather.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. But here they are in the bookstore.
No Tommy.
The rendezvous, no Tommy. But there's bad weather. They don't know where to go, so they're gonna wait it out. The convergence is happening, by the way. The convergence of storms. That's what's going on.
Right.
If you didn't recognize, you know.
Right.
So in one scene, it's a convergence of storms, and then in the next scene, it's also a convergence of storms, but it's
high pressure system.
Yeah. But this one,
right.
but the high pressure is Ellie. And the low pressure is. Are you getting what I'm saying here? Do I need to spell it out for you anymore?
Why don't you spell it out?
I'm being so facetious right now. I do like the metaphor. Don't get me wrong, but it is. We can have fun while we're here.
For sure. I will say 2 little things about that bookstore. One, staircase is super fucking cool. I don't know what
is it a spiral one?
I don't know. It's like a half big spiral. It's just in the background of a shot.
Okay.
And I was like, yo, it looks amazing.
They built that.
What is this bookstore? Yeah.
They didn't do anything with it.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. And then 2, when they're looking at the children's books.
Yeah.
Cute, awesome, great, parenthood, yada, yada. But also, thank you for whatever like prop designer or set dresser did this. Those I Spy books.
Huh.
When I was a kid, I used to fucking love those.
Sure.
And it's like right behind the book that they pick up. And I was just like, oh,
yeah,
hell yeah.
She picks up the not Oscar. Is it Oscar?
Yeah, I don't remember.
No, Oscar the Grouch is no. It's what's his name? I just did a show with him. I did with Elmo and Grover. Sorry,
Grover.
I just was on set with Grover a few weeks ago. So I should have known. It was like the Grover little one, you know, because obviously like it's a tie-in with HBO because they have the Muppets and Sesame Street and stuff and whatever.
Wow.
Right.
Incestuous.
I'm mad that it's not another pun book. Because there is we know from the game, there's a second volume of the pun book. Yeah. We don't get it. Yeah. I'm really fucking annoyed. Yeah. So how about that? Huh? How about that?
Bummer.
Also the monster at the end of this book. Who's the monster?
I don't want to say.
It's a convergence of storms is what I'm trying to say. I do love that, you know, when they're stuck together, now they have to talk and now Jesse can't just keep walking away and like forging ahead. Mm-hmm. And just like the last time, he's like, okay, let's talk. You know, they kind of put everything out on the table and he tells us, he's like, let me just say it. Like, I see that you two are in love. And like, I get it. And he tells a story of the time that he fell in love when he was young. Yeah. And like
way back when he was young,
probably like 14 or something. Right. But he didn't go. I love this story. I love seeing Jesse. I'm like, oh yeah, he had a huge crush. Best 2 weeks of his life. Mm-hmm. I get that. This is summer camp Jesse, right? This is like, I had to, like, I went to summer camp and I fell in love for some stupid reason that we do this. And we're like, you have to leave. Like, you can't stay at summer camp forever. And that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
But he ends the story of saying like he chose the community because of who they were and what they were putting on him and that they were there for him. And that ending like changes something in Ellie. What are you getting from that?
Yeah, I mean this story is the most Jesse story of all time. It's interesting though, because like isn't this where Ellie kind of has this reaction of like, oh, you think you're better than me?
That's where it starts.
Which is like super shitty.
He says he's like thing is, he tries to tell his own moral to the story. Again, in the reading nook where it says like there's a moral to like every story or whatever. He's like, the thing that was taught to me is I was taught to put other people first. And she's like, oh, okay. So I'm the asshole. Because I don't put people first is what she's getting. It's like, because you put the community, you know, all this kind of stuff first. Yeah. So she starts, she was there. I think she was on it. Like she was understanding then like Jesse, you know, because she's like, yeah, I do feel this way about Dina, you know? But then she's like, why didn't you go? I think she was there until he said like, I didn't go with her. I think that I don't think she understands. Why would you not go? Because that's who Ellie is. Because I think Ellie would have gone.
Yeah. If
she had fallen in love with someone like over 2 weeks and like whatever, I don't think she would have stayed in the community. I think she would have left. I think that's where disconnect happens too.
I mean, like Ellie doesn't have a family like Jesse does.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if did, but the community was his family or is his family. I think he says Jackson is.
Yeah, I think he says that in the story that he was just like everything that they had given me. Right?
Yes,
and
right.
Supported me. And this was like, I mean, he very clearly feels like
it's not like blood family is what I'm saying, right? Like, sure. I don't know that we hear of, he seems like an orphan, just like Ellie, just like Dina, right? Mm-hmm. That they are all three, like it's found family, right? But unlike Ellie, who goes where her family goes or whatever, like that she would choose, if she had fallen in love and that put herself, that love, if this was Dina, she would have gone with Dina if Dina was going off with her family, right? And Jesse chose his found family. Like he chose the community, right? I don't think he did chose his family, you're right, but I don't think it's blood family. I think it's a different thing, right? I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's were you saying any more about that? Yeah.
No, but there's something that happens after this that I definitely want to talk about. Because I called it.
Yeah. He says, Ellie, I would have, oh yeah, we're getting there. Before they go there, his point is like, Ellie, if I hadn't gone, or if I had gone, I would not be here to save you. Which is not a very compelling argument because I don't think Ellie knows or wants to be saved right now.
Yeah.
I don't think she's struggling with being saved, Jesse.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting argument that he makes that like if he had gone like he wouldn't be here right now. But I think there's always going to be like, yeah, if this doesn't happen, then we can only what if so much, right? But yeah, I just think it's interesting that I don't know that she sees it the same way that Jesse does, obviously. And so they do. They go up. The argument gets interrupted by the sniper. And they assume is Tommy. Jesse assumes it's Tommy. Ellie is in denial. But she knows it's Tommy.
Yeah, she does.
Lone sniper, it's not the scars. We know it's not the scars.
Mm-hmm.
But the WLF are scared of one sniper. They know it's Tommy. They go up to get a different vantage point. She does see the whale and the wheel. And she thinks that Abby is there.
Mm-hmm.
And she is like, I'm going to go there. And Jesse rightfully says, no, we're not going there. Things have changed. We're going home. We're going to get Tommy. We're going home. And she finally says the thing that's been eating away at her, the thing that she would have said back in episode 3 when she was all about community and all about like, what did they came in here and they did this thing and like, no, I would do the same thing for any of you. No, fuck the community. She says.
Hmm?
And also, Jesse, if more people had like voted yes, then you would be here with me. This is the whole point of why we came. And you're right, Morgan. You brought it up that you called it. And we were going to get this later on.
Yep. Jesse voted no.
Jesse voted no. Why did he vote no? Morgan, remind us.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in a word, because Ellie's being selfish, and it's not what the community needs, right? I mean, two very different people with two very different sets of priorities.
It's interesting. Yeah, he says everything you do for you.
Mm-hmm.
And which is right.
Mm-hmm.
He's not wrong. And she says, fuck the community. My community was beaten to death in front of me. Which is right. She's not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the convergence, right? This is the thing this is the struggle of the episode. Because I'm seeing that they're both right here, essentially, if there's a right or a wrong. But she has to like drive this thing home to him of like, you think your community, you're like the community savior, you're like, oh, you're the whatever of Wyoming, like I feel bad for Jesse because she keeps saying these things that I don't think that he's necessarily saying or doing or thinking, right? That he is, you're about community, you're about this thing, but I'm putting my community first. And she's trying to paint him as like this bad guy. And I don't think that she realizes that he is including Ellie in that community.
Mm-hmm.
That he included Joel in that community as well.
Yep.
But he's also including Tommy in that community. And he's including Dina in that community. And his child into that community. That Ellie is so filled with rage and this vision of this one person that she is not seeing like how much other people at this moment are like actually there and caring for her, which is why he doesn't say anything, which is why he's like, I hope you do what you...
I hope you make it back okay, I think he says.
I don't think it's not even that. I hope you like, it's something like, I hope you get what you want, or I hope you get to do what you want. Like, I don't think he expects her to make it back.
No.
And I don't think he expects to see her again. I think it's very much like, man, it sucks because he's hurt so much. Like he's trying here. He's really trying, and he is here specifically for his community. And I think, yes, he voted no, but if he had been asked to come, I think he would have. Do you agree? Because I think he would have.
Yeah.
I think that I see that he is here.
Mm-hmm.
That he came with Tommy, that he might have even been willing to continue on this journey.
Mm-hmm.
I know that they're there to bring them home, but Ellie, you kept pushing him away. And I think, and then once he figures out what is actually going on with Dina, and that she is already hurt and she's pregnant.
Yeah.
That just shifted things for him. Had that not happened, he would have been there. He would be on this journey. Had they found things under certain circumstances, he's already seen that, like, Ellie, you're not succeeding in what you're doing. And this isn't working. Yeah. He doesn't even know what happened to Nora. He doesn't know what's been going on. He doesn't understand why they're even there. Like, she's not even telling him. Like, she could even try and tell him, like, why they killed Joel.
Yeah.
He's doing his best. And yeah, the fact that she just can't see that, pushes him away, is really heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
Really heartbreaking because I think he would be there. I think he would, if only she let him in, that he wouldn't be so pragmatic, logistic about these things. Yeah.
It's heartbreaking. This was like one of the big, like, first times in the episode where I was just like, man, I really don't like Ellie right now. It's just like, it's so fucked up. I'm like, this person has helped you immeasurably, kept you alive multiple times. And your response is just to like rebuke him, you know? And it's so selfish. It's just, ugh. I was like, oh boy. At this point, I was kind of like, I don't know if I mind if Ellie dies. I was like, ugh.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't go that far. I would say that, like, I also understand where she's coming from. This is not the point where I think she does become unlikable here in that sense, that she is very much, this is what I said earlier, this is where they talked about like the addiction, right? And that is true of addiction, right? When it's presented in front of you, and whenever you are addicted to something, you tend to say and do and push, these things, and it hurts other people.
Yeah.
One of the things about 12 steps is making amends for like how your addiction hurts people. She's just blinded.
Yeah.
She doesn't see it. She only sees it as like one way. And if only she could see it through Jesse's eyes. If only she could see that other people do care about her. We talked about it like last week, that she right now is thought her life would have mattered if she had died for everyone. And she's searching for this purpose. And it's like, if you don't realize that, like, Tommy and Jesse came all this way for you, they didn't have to. They didn't just come for Dina. It feels like they came for Dina because you keep pushing them away, but they're here for you as well.
Yeah.
Ellie, you mean a lot to them. Jesse let down his walls and is like, I don't want to fight with you. Just like a scene earlier. It's like, I'm trying to like empathize. I'm trying to get you to understand like who I am.
Yeah.
Stop putting a wall up.
Yeah. And also, like, I'm not to do like the calculus of who are the most important people, but like, I would argue that Ellie probably means way more to Tommy than Dina does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's not only of her proximity to Joel, but like he probably feels like it's his job to take care of her now. In like that same kind of pseudo fatherly way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree.
They separate, go their separate ways. She goes to find a boat. We can get through this really quickly.
Yeah.
There's like, again, everything here until she gets to the aquarium just feels like, here's some season 3 stuff. Here's a way to like give you the timeline. Everything from when they got on the boats and left for the island to when she got onto the island and the Seraphites find her and they almost hang her, but then the war horn sounds. You're gonna probably hear that horn again, so remember it, right? And then the explosions. You're probably gonna see these explosions again, so remember it. It's all just to give you something to tease you, like what is happening.
Yeah.
Separate from this story. It's two separate things happening. There's her war and her story that's happening separate from their war and their story that's happening. And I think it's just a tease for like season 3 to give you something else to like remember and like, oh, right, this was happening at the exact same time.
Again, just not to slow us down here, but
sure.
As someone who didn't play the game, I was like, boats? Why are they getting on boats? Where are they going? What's going on?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I guess there's Seraphites offshore. And I was like, okay, maybe is Bainbridge Island like infested with Seraphites now? Is that what we're getting at?
Yes.
Okay, because I was like,
Scar Island, Seraphite Island, as what it's sometimes called, is like, and it is something that we don't get. This is interesting because they did mention that this was something they wanted to put this scene in the game. And because they had a chance to do it, they put it here. When the boat capsizes and she gets on a boat and goes to the aquarium, it does capsize and she has to swim.
Yeah.
which shows how strong of a swimmer she is because she hated water in the first one, but then she has to get there. And again, it's like she has to keep pushing through like the storm, you know, the storm is coming and it's Ellie and it's a real storm and like all this kind of stuff. Right. But that's how it happens in the game. But originally they wanted to have this like island thing where she almost gets taken. It seems to serve no purpose here because she just gets out of it.
Yeah.
Because of the horn blows and they just leave. Now that kid is frightening when he does the like motion of the gut her kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, that's scary. Scary child scar. Yeah. Great that we're teaching our children this, you know, and allowing them to witness it, you know, while I hold your hand like, oh yeah. This is, so it's interesting. I'm just going to say it too. If you noticed at the end of the episode with Abby, there's a big bruise around her neck.
Didn't notice.
It's not something, it's going to be pointed out by plenty of people online.
Somebody tried to hang her too.
Someone tried to hang her. And so this scene also seems to like undermine what we're going to see later with Abby, because we get a very similar scene with Abby later on. So I hate to spoil that for people, but also like we see that like someone tried to hang her. So probably the scars, you know, so it feels very much like, why was this scene here? If she's just going to get there and then just get away immediately, if agree. Only just to be like, don't forget, this is happening.
Totally. I mean, not only that, but I was also like, it really takes less time to let her down than just slicing her open.
Yep. I don't know.
Like,
I mean, that war,
how long does this take?
That horn, I guess, must mean a lot more to them. I don't know that they use it all that often, you know, so it must mean a whole lot to them for them to just drop everything. But I don't know. I feel that's like there's a reason why you cut this out of the game, I think. And I feel like maybe we should have just left it.
Let's go to the aquarium.
They do mention that these are the moments that keep telling Ellie to like just turn back. More moments that keep saying to turn back for whatever reason. But I don't know. Feels a little bit useless. So yeah, we get to the aquarium. Here's a controversial statement. The showrunners are cowards.
Whoa. On what grounds?
On the grounds that they, in this scene, when you first get to the aquarium, you have the unfortunate, you can't get past it. It's an unfortunate circumstance. And one of the first things you run into once you get into the aquarium is going down a hallway is a doggo. And that doggo is not happy to see you. And it comes after you. And you have to get rid of it.
You have to kill a dog in the game?
You have to kill a dog.
Wow.
Not only that, you've at this point maybe killed a couple of dogs. This is not a new thing, but this happens. This happens very deliberately and very much in like almost like a cutscene like fashion. You have to do it, but it's not quite gameplay. It's kind of a cross between both, right?
And it's a puppy.
And it's not a puppy. It's a full grown dog. But mere scenes later, when we cut to Abby, guess what dog is going on an adventure with you that you play fetch with?
Yeah.
You know, in the game.
Kill
that you
Abby's
like have
dog.
like a little mechanic. It's like, oh, I can throw this ball. He's going to go get it and he's going to bring it back to me. Yeah. You're going to throw this ball.
Wow.
Very fun, very great, and makes you kind of hate Ellie a little bit, you know, but also you didn't have that context. It was just another dog, but they suddenly like switch shit on you. They're like, okay, that dog was trying to kill me. And then suddenly you're like, no, but this dog, he was such a nice donkey. He wanted to play fetch. Cowards. You could have put this in the show and I would have fucking loved it. But here they didn't do it because you can't kill a dog. So that's all I'm going to say there. That's just something that it's not here. So we're not talking about it, but
I mean, I will say
I love it. I love that in the game. I love it so much.
I like the juxtaposing the 180 like you're talking about of like oh, dog seems threatening, and then later being like, oh no, that was Abby's sweet dog or whatever. I get that, but part of me is like, if you put that in the show, I feel like we really don't like Ellie then.
I think that's probably true. You're probably right. I'm still disappointed. I think that's the point, though.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that dog was going to rip your throat out. So, I mean, that was maybe. It didn't happen here, so I'm speculating about stuff that didn't happen, but I'm just a little bit annoyed because I feel like we didn't kill a horse. We didn't kill a dog. I guess we're showing that we care about animals, I guess.
We're going to kill plenty of things in a second here.
Oh, no. Here's another thing. She comes in, she drops down, she looks around the area and stuff. She takes a moment to dry off the bullets of her gun. Guys, I had to look this up because in no way I'm a liberal gun owner. I've shot guns before. You don't have to dry off. What is she doing? This doesn't make any sense. Why did they do this? Why did they? Know. And I had to look it up. I was like, do you have to dry off your bullets? Here's the short answer. No. The long answer is depends on how long they've been submerged and what exactly. I don't think they've been in the water for like 30 minutes, an hour.
That's a long time. I would say probably closer to 10 to 15 minutes.
Well, not just the rain, but I'm talking about like actually in the salt water and stuff.
Yeah.
So they're possibly like exposed to corrosive properties, but they're not going to corrode here in
the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
that's she walks down the hallway.
It's like such a weird moment.
Get the fuck out of here.
I know you guys love gun talk here on Codependent Content and stuff, but
we'll do a gun episode next week.
Why? And what was the point of that? I don't understand. I can forgive you for you did a good lesson by telling us how to deal with an arrow that's stuck in your leg, and then the next moment you're telling us to dry off your bullets that no one has and are non-existent anyway. So it's just such a
strange.
Just remember, kids, dry off your bullets. I don't know. She finds not Abby. Did you at any point? I'm curious. Going through this, what were you expecting to find?
I don't know. I had no expectation.
Yeah.
Part of me thought it might just be empty and she might find out like, oh, I have to go to another place now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I had no real expectation.
Yeah. I think it's clear things have happened here. We see bandages. We see
like a hospital.
Tools. Yeah. There's a makeshift hospital kind of thing going on here.
I think we also see like couches with sleeping bags on them.
Yep. Cots, I think. Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's some interesting things going on here, but she goes through it. She runs into Mel and Owen. They're having an argument. Something about going after Abby.
Mm-hmm.
Blah blah. We're never going to resolve that until season 3, so not going to worry about that right now. What the argument was, essentially, but there's clearly some division going on here. We know that they're at this point that they're the Fireflies. These are the Fireflies, the missing Fireflies.
Mm-hmm.
And so something is going on, and they're arguing. But before they can even resolve that, Ellie's here.
Mm-hmm.
The monster at the end of the book, right, is here to figure out where Abby is, and it's not Abby, which probably frustrates her even more. Like, I came to this aquarium to find Abby, and here are these two.
Mm-hmm.
And she does a thing that she's heard of. That she knows that Joel has done before. And this entire time she's been trying to take Joel's place, so to speak. I can be him. Because if it were Joel, if this was me and Joel were coming, like, this is what he would do. He would also be on this journey, right?
Doesn't
go very well.
No,
she makes a few mistakes along the way. Yeah. Because there's a difference between what you've heard and how things are supposed to be done and how you've actually seen it done.
Yeah, I mean, like, logistically, she's also just like, they're both standing in the same place. And it's like, they're going to be able to see what each other's points to.
Right. I think the point that she really screws up if she admits she's like, I'm not going to kill you. But the point of the thing here, the setup is that you do kill one of them.
Mm-hmm.
We know that because we know how that's what you're supposed to do. If you're doing what Joel said, and now she's hesitating, right? That she doesn't want to do this. So she's doing it wrong already is what I'm saying, that she's struggling to figure out like, how do I do this and whatever. And of course she allows too much time to happen before he pulls the gun and she has to shoot him. Because we know Joel would have been more ruthless, I think, here.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have just like allowed that. Also, that she would not have the wherewithal to think like, where's the gun?
Mm-hmm.
You know? So any more about that? I just think I find it interesting that she tries to do a thing. It was easier when Nora, she mentions earlier, just like how easy it was. It wasn't hard.
Much more controlled environment. With
And
Nora.
she was already dying.
Just dying. Also, she's getting spored up while Ellie's immune.
Yeah.
Ellie has weapons. Nora did not. Like,
Yeah,
it's much more controlled
it's
environment.
a very different environment. Now she's actually, this is different. They didn't run like Nora. They didn't get mad at her. Like they didn't goad her like Nora did.
Yeah.
And so there's no rage going through. This is much harder than before, is what I'm noticing. This is a very different.
She's nervous. She's like, she seems unsure of herself.
Yeah. And we know that she's been struggling with the decision in the first place, right? The scales have been imbalanced. How do I, right? And, and I think even the fact that she even has a gun up is like evidence that she's like, oh wait, I've already screwed up.
Yeah.
I've already approached this the wrong way.
Yeah.
But now I have to kind of commit. And so she's trying to commit to it. Anyway, lots of little interesting things going on there. Great performance. Great performance by Bella.
Agree.
Amazing stuff going on here. And I love her being like in over her head.
Yeah.
That this is not that she does the thing that she heard of and she just does it completely wrong. Screws it up. Ellie, you're not Joel. Unfortunately. I know you want to be Joel, but you're not. This is not you. So yeah, she screws it up, shoots Owen.
Takes one shot.
One shot.
But
gets both of them. Accidentally. And then finds out that Mel was pregnant. What do you think of this scene?
It's pretty tragic.
Yeah.
Pretty gross. And also like Mel's like dying words are like pleading Ellie to like cut the baby out of her, which is like horrific and super, super intense and sad.
Yeah, but also in that moment, nothing else matters to Mel. She doesn't. She immediately doesn't think about herself, doesn't think about Owen.
I mean,
she's in shock.
She knows Owen's dead, and she also knows, I think she says, I only have like a couple seconds or whatever.
Yeah, like 30 seconds or anything. Like it's a matter of time before this child goes with her.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's the added element that Ellie didn't. It's one thing to accidentally shoot one person, but you just killed not 2, but 3 people.
Yeah.
And Ellie hesitates. She doesn't know what to do. She can't do this. She doesn't understand it.
She's also like, I mean, you're right. The obvious parallel is like, to Dina.
Yes. That's it. Right.
Yeah.
This is, so I think it's supposed to remind us a lot of like, this could easily be
obviously
Dina.
Yeah.
And the C-section thing doesn't happen in the game. You just find out she's pregnant. And I think it's just a clear, like, what have I done kind of moment.
Yeah.
And I think it just makes it even more tragic here that this if the scales weren't tipped before,
Yeah.
they're very tipped now. And she doesn't even have a chance. She hesitates the moment that she can write it, the moment she can bring balance to this or whatever. It's like, I can save this. She hesitates. She can't.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't know what to do, which I guess rightfully no one would know what to do. Like, what would you do?
It's an insane moment.
I do find it interesting though that how LeGros says like, but I still wanted her to do it.
Yeah.
The writer is like, I think that she hesitated too long and she should have just sucked it up and done it, because like because that's maybe what Joel would have done. You know, you don't have time to think about it. You don't have time to hesitate. We've seen that like you just gotta do it. Even if the child's dead already, even if you screw up, you can't do any worse.
Yeah.
Right? I find that interesting from the writers to say that, you know? So I guess it's worth mentioning here that there's a clear hesitation that maybe Ellie could have righted the scales, but she doesn't.
I mean, what, and then what? Then she has 2 kids?
And then I don't know, but then just the performance. I don't know how you do this.
Yeah.
It's like multiple tears. This is not like an actor, you close up on their face and a single tear going down their face or whatever. It's like multiple like tears.
Yeah.
She is distraught. This is so far from what she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
This is not at all what she thought was going to happen. And the performance there is just amazing. And it just is. It's just, I guess it is what it is. It's a traumatic moment that Ellie, I think, fundamentally changes Ellie.
Mm-hmm.
With Nora, it was one thing. It was easy. She goaded you. With this is now you've really done it. Now you've gone too far. You've hurt other people. This could have easily been Dina and Jesse and their child. And you've pushed it.
Yeah.
There's obviously parallels there.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy and Jesse come in. And they take her
Finally,
home.
we get to see fucking Tommy.
Yeah, well,
Jesus
we can
Christ,
talk about
it's
that
only
later.
been 6 episodes or whatever. I mean, my God.
Yeah, I hope. Hey, listen, this is about as much Tommy as we got in the game, to be fair. So I'm not going to say that I know for certain. I'm hoping that they fill us in a little bit more. That's all I'm going to say, because it doesn't feel like. I don't feel satisfied. That's what I'm going to say in terms of what they've given us with Tommy. But yeah, they bring her back to the theater.
Mm-hmm.
And they're planning on
going
home. Tommy tries to do what he does as the uncle, as he always has done. It's like, you're fine. Like, you did what you had to do. They were part of it. They were part of it. They made their choice. He wasn't there. He doesn't realize exactly how that happened.
Yeah, of course.
But they made their choice. And you can see that, like, I don't think Ellie agrees. But also he's like, can you make peace with this? Because she's like, well, Abby gets to live. Can you make peace with this? I'm going to have to. I think, what do you think that I'm going to have to means? That she's given up? Or that
she's changed.
That she's changed, yeah.
Yeah. Or, I mean, or also, I mean, like, it's kind of a tough guy way of saying, okay, You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to admit, sometimes when you change your mind, or when like the thing you want to do is no longer the thing you want to do. So it could be coming from that kind of place too, but I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, the trail's gone cold.
Yeah. And
and
they're vulnerable in a way that they weren't.
Yeah. Things have changed, right? And she pushed it too far. And she's going to have to make a peace with a lot of things. I don't know that she's given up on Abby, so to speak, but I think that things have definitely changed in her mind. That she has no reason to keep going because things are not playing out the way that she thought.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to have to. It's because I can't see myself pushing this anymore.
Yeah.
Because I keep failing. Right? Small moment. There's a thud on the roof, which is a very, 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 that, Jesse and Tommy both look up. It sounds like thunder, but, and it's a floor above them or whatever. I think that's clearly Abby. So it's a slight little clue, slight little hint. We don't have to wait very long, but I guess we'll again see this moment later on,
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, this conversation between Jesse and Ellie before things happen. Where she thanks him for coming back. He's like, well, maybe I didn't want to. He's like, well, did you? And he admits that, yeah. Because you're a good person, she says. He says, yeah. I don't think it's that. Right? I think being a good person, I think even he struggles with like, I always have to do the right thing or the good thing as a good person. It's like, I don't know. He came back because you're his community. Yeah. You matter to him, Ellie. It's not just because he's good. Yes, Jesse's a good person, but he's not better than you. He understands you. We don't get a chance to figure it out, but that like sigh from him of like, he wishes he could be more like Ellie. I think that if this is what it means to be a good person, it's one thing, but I understand you and I want to be like where you are. The fact that I'm putting Dina first, the fact that I'm putting my child first and all this kind of stuff is like, this is like, I understand you, Ellie. And I think he struggles with being a good person because I think even having heard that story, I think he kind of regrets that I didn't go with this girl that I fell in love with, that I stayed here because of the pressure and the things and what I thought was right.
Yeah.
This idea of being right has like brought me here and eventually it is the thing that like kind of got him killed. This being a good person.
Moments later.
Yeah. We don't see that. We don't, but I think even here I'm seeing that like, I feel like he's struggling with that moniker of like being a good guy.
Sure.
Even though I'm like, yeah, you are a good guy, Jesse.
I think so.
A great guy. Anything about that conversation before?
No, I mean, it's just so Last of Us that I'm like, okay, finally out with it. I hope these two can mend. Blop.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was surprised. I was very surprised.
Yeah. I do like his acknowledgement. He's like, listen, I know if it were me, you would have set the world on fire. Come after me.
Sure.
And I think there's like, I know you've pushed me away. I know you said the things that you said, but like, I forgive you. You know?
I forgive you. So it's a nice way to like make Ellie feel like a good person or
Yeah.
point out something positive about her
Yeah.
that still feels true.
Yeah.
Right. Because he doesn't say like, hey, you're a good person too.
Yeah.
And right now she's not really being a good person. But it is true that like, if Ellie's one thing, it's loyal, you know? And yeah, she's going to set the world on fire for you if you're that one person. But yeah.
They hear gunshots. They rush out like good people they are. And immediately as he opens that door,
Gun down.
such a brutal moment. Happens so fast.
It's also like, dude,
It's hard to like.
I mean,
What is going on through your head? And that's like what? How does what happens in your head as this happens? Because
I mean, like I'm like playing my memory of watching it back.
Yeah.
And I just remember like watching them both sprint down the aisle
Yeah.
of the big theater, you know, looking so cool. And Jesse's faster than Ellie. So he opens the door first.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, bam, I heard gunshot again and it drops. And I was just like, oh no. They're in deep shit now. And I was like, also like this is the entire next scene that we're about to get into. I was like trying to listen, but also just kept being like, is he really dead?
Yeah.
I wondered if he just got shot.
Yeah.
But he's like, you know, he's bleeding, but maybe he's not dead. And then like the longer the scene went on, they're not shy about putting his body in it. I just kept being like, wow.
Well, they show his face and they show a bullet hole in his face.
He's
and
really dead.
His eyes are open. Yeah.
And then you get
like immediately. Right. It is so immediate. And it's such a bold move from the creators of the game and the directors here to keep it almost exact, right? That like this just happens.
Yeah.
That it's quick, just as quick as it was for everyone else that Ellie has killed.
Yeah.
Like it's just here and it happens and it comes at the wrong moment for us in the story and for Jesse. But that's what happens.
Yeah.
That's what happens, Ellie, when you make the choices that you make. Tommy was like, they made their choice. Ellie made a ton of choices that brought her here, and this is what happened. But she sees Jesse lying there, and something has switched. Something has changed.
Yeah.
And it's Abby. Abby's there, and she's saying, put out the gun or I shoot him, drop it, She knows it's Abby. This is what she came here for. But she doesn't do what you think she's going to do.
No.
Were you surprised to see Abby?
No, not really.
I mean, it's not surprising kind of like as it happens when you see what's that, but like, I don't think that was there any anticipation that you were going to get.
I didn't expect to see Abby.
Yeah.
But once it was Abby, I was just like, Sure, of course it is.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So she throws out her gun. She comes out. She's like, no, I'm the one you want.
Yeah.
I'm the one you want. I didn't mean to kill them. I was coming after you. She's so guilt-ridden. This is where I'm like, okay.
No rage.
Yeah.
Apologetic. Tears in her eyes.
Almost
very different.
Almost sacrificing herself.
100%.
Because she doesn't know what's going to happen here. Sacrificing herself. She's again, it only happens in this one episode, I feel like, but this is where it's like, yeah, she's become unlikable, and then there's a clear switch, a clear change. She's finally come back to, I've gone too far. I need to fix it. And also like, this is not, what I thought I wanted is not what I want anymore. When the thing that's right in front of her, the thing that she's been chasing, but she got Jesse killed.
Yeah.
I think she knows that. Dina's not even around at this point.
Yeah, we don't see Dina, right?
Yeah, I assume she's sleeping in the makeup room again, right? And at this point, like, she just took Jesse. Like, this is I don't know, man. Like the things that you lose when you go on these like journeys, the parts of yourself and the parts of things. And it's one thing, it's like to keep doing this and keep pushing forward when you have nothing to lose, but you just took away Jesse, who was there to save you, who wasn't even there in the first place. It could have easily been Dina. It's not Dina, but not only is it not Dina, but it's the person that Dina also cared about.
Yep.
That this community cared about. You took away from suddenly everyone.
And father of your ostensible child.
Yeah. Like from the community that you just put down, you know how much Jesse at this point has meant to everyone. And this is a person you think is not going to die, right? This is the person you don't know. And I think she sees all of that in like an instant, that this is, I so screwed up and I can't lose anymore and I can't take away anyone, like no one else needs to die here except for me. Her purpose has come full circle to like, I can die for everyone else. And her community has finally expanded beyond Joel and beyond Dina to include the other people around her in this quick instant. I don't know. That's kind of what I'm getting. It's a little too late.
Yeah,
I think a little too late for her.
Yeah.
Jesse's already dead.
For sure.
I remember when this happened, I was just like in shock. And the scene is still happening. I'm like, what? Why did y'all, how did you, I'm like just in shock that it just happened like so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like mad and I'm like angry. And then we like get this moment and then we like cut to black. It's so.
Yeah. A lot of questions left.
It was such a moment for me while I was playing this, that all this thing happens like all at once. Like we've been searching for so long for Abby, so long, and here she is. And the climactic scene that you think for the actual convergence, you think that's going to happen between two storms meeting. What's going to happen? And we don't know. Fucking bravo, because like to end a season like this, amazing. I don't think anyone else does this. If you're writing a television show, I don't think you do this. If it wasn't based off an earlier adaptation where this is like a clear delineation line, it's like, well, we can leave this on a huge cliffhanger. I don't think you do this. There's no way.
No way.
It's a bold decision, right? But they do this. It's fucking amazing. So I think bravo for the showrunners to stick with this bold decision. I'm surprised, honestly.
Okay.
She says, I let you live. She's just as surprised to see Ellie at this point.
Whoa. She says, I let you live and you wasted it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's one thing. She's here again to like, she doesn't know who Jesse is. She doesn't know who Tommy is. The person she just killed, nobody. Tommy, just a guy. Whatever they're fucking here for, she doesn't know. It's like, they killed my friends. That's it. And then this girl pops up. And it's the same girl from 3 or 4 months ago that just showed up. And saying all those things like, I'm the one you want, like Joel killed because of your father, because of me, all these different things. I think she's so surprised to see this person. This is the person that's killed my friends.
Yeah. It's pretty wild.
And that anger, that rage, Caitlin Dever, I cannot wait to see in season 3. So good in saying that.
Yeah.
You wasted it.
Yeah.
Wow. Cycle after cycle after cycle.
Yep.
The wheel keeps turning. The moment Ellie thinks she's done, the moment she's out.
Turns out revenge is bad.
Hey.
Kind of crazy though. I mean, man. Ugh.
Well, here we are. The end of The Last of Us. The end of the season. Well, sorry. One last scene.
Yeah, there's a little
cut back to.
It's at the stadium, right?
It's an arena stadium, yeah,
Something?
like a football stadium or arena. I wrote down whatever you would call it. Yeah. That has been, demarcated as a militarized zone.
It looked like they were even like growing plants or something on the field.
Yeah, a little farming some stuff.
Cool,
It's a really great area, honestly, to do this. When it goes to the balcony, she looks over her domain. And day one comes across the screen. Then we cut to black and get the credits and a song.
A Soundgarden song.
I don't really.
a notable Seattle grunge rock band.
Oh, okay. Oh, from Seattle.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. Grunge rock.
Yeah.
And anything more you want to say about
the
song specifically?
Well, actually, it's interesting that it's a Soundgarden song. Lead singer Chris Cornell, and a lot of the guitar stuff, I think earlier in the season, is like they use like Tom Morello, who's a guitarist of Rage Against the Machine, and Tom Morello and Chris Cornell ended up having a band together after both their bands called Audio Slave. So it's kind of interesting that I love that we're using all these cool musicians. But yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of inside baseball. I never would have been aware of it. I don't know anything about music.
Oh yeah.
There's also like, they used a Pearl Jam song, and it's one of those things where I'm like, I wasn't a fan of Pearl Jam, but it's such a huge thing for this show, you know,
totally.
And things. Yeah. So really interesting, really cool. Speaking of like little Easter egg kind of things as we're talking, because I didn't realize that was a Seattle grunge rock band.
Yeah.
But there's a book that she's reading.
Wait, what was the book? I missed that entirely.
The book that she's reading is titled on the cover Thieves of the City or Thieves in the City. One of those things. Yeah. Written by Ben Davidoff.
Okay.
Sounds kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
Well, here's the truth. In the game and the real book that she's supposed to be reading, it's really weird that they switched it here. Because I don't know why they would do this, but there's a book that she's reading as well called City of Thieves, written by David Benioff.
Yes.
D.B. Weiss, David Benioff are from the Game of Thrones creators.
Yes, this I know.
And writers. Not creators, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
Right? Another HBO property. So this Ben Davidoff is David Benioff, but
just
switched
kind of
around, and they switched them. And it's at first it's like, oh, that's a fun little Easter egg, right? I don't remember what the significance of the book is. I'm sure it's something that was inspired parts of Abby's story or parts of The Last of Us Part 2, which is why it's a book that obviously Neil Druckmann really liked for him to put it in the game in the first place. But it's really interesting that they had to switch it here or make it not be David Benioff.
Yeah.
Because it is, and you think HBO would be like, yeah, let's put that little Easter egg in, but they don't want that?
Yeah, I don't
Who
know.
made that call here?
I don't know.
Did HBO say like, we don't want to be associated with this anymore after what happened at the end of Game of Thrones? Probably.
Lord.
A little interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to feel about that, but yeah.
Also, actually, I should have said this earlier when we were talking about music too, but you also mentioned Pearl Jam. Also a Seattle band.
I figures.
Yeah. I mean, Seattle was like the birth of that grunge rock thing. So it makes sense. But yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So my assumption is you didn't catch the day one originally. Or that wasn't something that stood out to you.
It did. I mean, like,
did it make sense where you were in time? I'm just curious as someone who didn't. Yeah.
For sure. It's like, but when like, it made sense now in this episode when we got day one at like with the stadium and all that. But when they dropped the first day one, I was like, I think I literally asked you on the cast. I was like, yeah, like why? What is that about?
That specific episode was titled Day One too, and we talked about it. And I specifically said, "This is going to matter. I just don't know how to tell you that it's going to matter." Right?
But it was kind of like, I was kind of like weird. Okay, and now I'm like, okay, I get it.
This is I'm glad they did this because part of me was thinking they weren't going to.
Yeah.
that they were just going to cut to black, roll credits, and that's it. And I was going to have to wait 3 years to tell you like, oh, hey, because you're rightfully frustrated. Like, what happens? What happens next? Or when are we going to get to, Ellie and figure it out? I was like, well, then the thing is like, even 2 years from now, I don't think we're going to resolve that.
Yeah.
We don't.
Yeah.
Because we cut to day one. It's an interesting moment in the game. And I love that because I can talk about it and I don't have to keep it a secret. I don't have to be spoilerific. Season 3, if it's not clear, is going to focus more heavily on Abby, especially through those 3 days.
Yeah.
Which means it's going to be a long time before we resolve whatever's happening with Abby and Ellie at the end of this season.
Yeah.
What I love about the game does this as well. This has been huge speculation. How are they going to do this? How do you bring this from the game to the show? And when I realized when we started doing day 1 and then day 2, and I was like, I don't think we're going to see Abby this season anymore. As you see me in like real time being like, oh, they're going to do the thing. They're going to cut us off and go back. And this isn't just flashback. This isn't just like, oh, here's what was happening. In the game, this is what happens. You play as Ellie. You don't see Abby after she kills Joel.
Yeah.
You don't see Abby until she shows up in that theater. It's been a long time. And this is what you've been searching for. And then she shows up, and then you cut to black, and and she kills Jesse. And then you're like, what? What's going on? And what's interesting is like, there's technically, we don't cut to day 1. We cut to a flashback with Abby. I won't spoil what that flashback is, but we cut to a different moment. And it's a moment where you're like, with the controller, I remember my ex playing this game. She saw me play the game all the way through. She knew this was going to happen after she saw me play the whole story. She knows the story.
Yeah.
She wants to play the game. So she goes and she plays the game herself later on. And she got to this moment. She already knew what was going to happen. She's seen the story. And it cuts to black. And it opens on Abby. And you have the controller in your hands. And you are in control of what Abby does next. And she had to pause the game. And she had to put the controller down. And she couldn't touch it for hours.
Yeah.
This is such a bold move from the directors.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite things about the game. And it's interesting whenever you're like, hey, I don't think we'd like Ellie right now. And it is frustrating because one, I don't think we're supposed to like Ellie, but 2, we are supposed to be on Ellie's side. I think we want to be. In the game, we are very much on Ellie's side. Mm-hmm. That when Abby comes in and she kills Jesse and she's got everyone at gunpoint.
Yeah.
And we don't know what she's going to do. And we don't like her in that moment as well. And then we have to play as her. That's interesting. In the game medium, for me, this is what makes The Last of Us Part 2 one of the best games. One of the best mediums for empathy. And I hope it's not a spoiler to say that this game is about radical empathy, as Neil Druckmann likes to say. This is one of the best mediums for empathy. And I do not know if they're going to be able to pull it off in the show, but they just started it, and that's going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm curious, where are you at this point? Because I'm telling you where we were as gamers. I'm telling you where we were at this point in how I felt, how my ex-partner felt.
Yeah.
Where are you as someone who hasn't played the game? And this happens. Like, is there anger? Is there frustration? Is there just confusion? Like, what is going on here?
No confusion. Yeah. I think that like I began to like pick up in the very last scene, not knowing it was going to be the last scene, but I definitely began to pick up like, oh, I'm starting to dislike Ellie.
Uh-huh.
And I'm starting to be frustrated by her. And then I'm also like, oh, clearly whoever wrote this show is like wants me to consider Abby more, right? When like that scene with Jeffrey Wright, where they're just like, Abby's going to be the leader or whatever. I'm like, okay. And then, her crew is like having arguments. She's not there. And then she's there, you know? I'm like, okay. So clearly this is going to be like, now we're going to consider like her perspective or something like that. But I think it's still tough. I think it is still a little frustrating. I mean, mostly just because I'm like, because I got to wait 2 or 3 years.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, I'm like, it's a cool experiment, you know? I love it. And it's like, I totally agree that like, yeah, so much of The Last of Us is about radical empathy, right? And what better medium than a video game? Because you are literally stepping into the shoes of somebody else.
It's such a tough thing to literally tell you, we hate this person over and over and over again.
Yeah.
To kind of put you in the understanding is like, we don't like this person. She took the person that we are closest to remind us of who Joel was, everything that was taken away from Ellie, and to keep showing us this, and then to say like, oh, by the way, you're gonna have to play as her. You're gonna have to play as the person you hate most right now, the villain. This is a bad guy. I wonder if we've done too much ingratiating us to Abby, because I also have to remind you that by this point of the game, we don't even know that Joel killed her father. When we switch to that. So we don't even know exactly why.
Yeah.
We understand that they were maybe we pieced together. I don't think Abby, I don't think even Ellie even knows exactly. I think she understands that after Nora that like they were fireflies, but she doesn't know the whole story. So it's really interesting. And here I feel like maybe we've done too much ingratiating ourselves to Abby, which I'm unfortunate because I feel like just give us the hatred. I'm okay with it because that's how it was for us in the game.
Yeah.
But I also think that this is what is like needed. There's a reason why like the actresses who played Abby got death threats. They can't, like, it's kind of almost like righting a wrong. It's like, listen, we're going to tell a hard story and we're going to put you in some shoes that you maybe don't want to be in. You know, so already they're kind of like showing us that like, hey, there's two sides to stories, right? They're giving you like a little bit of empathy, like even before we even start, you know? And I'm just, I don't know if it's hard because I'm like, man, but I want people to be frustrated as we were, but I don't know if we are.
I don't think you can be as frustrated as you were in the video game because in the video game, like you have no choice but to play through, right? Whereas like, and like, you know, like, as frustrated as you are, I don't think a lot of people like put down the Last of Us video game permanently when they were like, I have to play as Abby, right?
Not permanently. Well, some people might have actually.
A couple,
I don't know, you know?
But I think that like for a television show, you're far more concerned about retaining viewership.
I think it's going to be frustrating next season when we don't see Ellie for maybe 3 episodes.
Yeah. Maybe. I think people are ready to take a break from her though right now.
Maybe. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
I'm definitely not like, man, I want more Ellie right now. I mean, I literally an hour ago on the podcast said I was fine if she dies. So I don't know. I'm totally fine with taking a break from her.
I think that's a little disappointing because as much as like I agree with you, I think I wish that wasn't the case, you know, because I think I want us to still be on Ellie's side and to not feel this way. And because essentially like she's not wrong. Everything that was taken away from her, you know, and that her community was taken away from her, beaten right in front of her.
Yeah.
Maybe these people, they made their choice. Maybe they deserved it, you know, that I want to understand that, but you're right. We aren't. And I don't want to get to the end of the story feeling more for Abby than I do for Ellie. Because I want to feel for them equally. I think both you know, I want to.
That's pretty hard,
and it's
though,
feeling
right?
like Ellie is not. I'm definitely not on Ellie's side right now.
Totally.
And it's a really interesting place to be in, especially to cut us off right there is like so frustrating.
I agree.
So hard.
I mean, I will also say though that like if the goal, I'm assuming the goal is like to have us hold space both for Abby and Ellie, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the hardest thing to do though, right? Mm-hmm. With any sort of story, it's like inherently folks are going to come down on one side or the other. You know, it's so difficult to create a series of scenarios where you totally go, I hold space for them equally. Like that's just very hard to do. Human beings like taking sides. They have opinions and stuff. So
yeah.
Like I imagine, like as much as you and me seem to be in a similar place with Ellie right now.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's millions of viewers who are like still full on Team Ellie, fuck Abby, nothing you can do can change that. I'm sure millions of people have experienced the show in that way. And I also bet there's millions of people who've been done with Ellie for a couple episodes. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, this is it's an interesting place to be, you know. I would be curious, like how are people feeling? You know, please tell us, let us know, write in and stuff. Because this is just such a interesting thing to do for a show. Is now we're going to suddenly switch POVs. We're going to not come back to this moment for I think quite a while. And how are we going to feel at the end of that? Yeah. You know, how do you feel about suddenly switching characters? Not many shows suddenly be like, well, here's your new main character next season. And especially to get us to care about someone and to get us to go on this certain journey and then to not resolve it. Yeah. And then also kill off characters immediately and like, oh, we're not going to see what happened. You know, that's going to be such an interesting thing. I'm curious where people are. Where they are at in the thing. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if it's like good television. I think it's a bold television. Yeah. I think it's a very bold move. I don't know if it's good television. I only know the story from the game. And so for me, it's like, I already know what happens and I'm all in and I expected this. I don't know where I would be if I had not played the game. Yeah. I mean, cause that's where I'm still not totally sure too. It hasn't even been 24 hours since I watched it. So I'm still kind of like feeling out where I'm at with the show as a whole. But I think that like, if we know there's a season 3 and it's like 7 episodes again, part of me is like, damn, I almost wish that they had just waited until they had 14 episodes. And so like, this was the first 7 episodes of the season and then we could continue on immediately. Cause I'm like, this is a great mid-season break. I give you that for sure. You know, like, and we're like really losing momentum now. We have like all this shit that finally came to a head. Yeah. You know, and we need to start really reconciling or learning about this other second perspective. And we're going to wait a couple years before we can get into it. And I'm like, the thing that I'm wondering is like, am I going to give a shit in 2 years? Like right now. That's true. Right. Yeah. Like right now, like I want to go play the game because I want to know what happens. Yeah. I don't know if I want to wait 2 or 3 years to see episode 8 of this arc. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, it's just a long time. That's the thing. It's like, it's 2 years before we even get back. And then, or maybe 2 years. I don't know if they've already started filming by this point, but that would be the only way to get to season 3 next year. But so it's probably 2 years. Yeah. And then not only that, once we get 2 years, it's going to be several weeks before we even come back to this moment. I think that, it's interesting season of television. I'm still loving it. I still enjoyed it. Yeah, I enjoyed it too. I think adaptation wise, it's going to have some things that are like wonky or whatever, but I mean, adaptations like, different characters, different ways of seeing things. There's different performances, you know, and that's what interpretation is, right? Like that's why we do Shakespeare. We don't get mad when we put Shakespeare in a different context, like it's
And well, fuck, some purists do.
sure,
But
yeah.
but fuck them, right? There's
Yeah.
like, okay, cool. There's always going to be a production of Romeo and Juliet, set in 14th century Venice or whatever. Like, cool.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's where Romeo and Juliet
Yeah.
takes place. But my point is, for me,
Yeah.
even though I'm for sure a little frustrated that that's where our season ends, and now I theoretically am waiting 2 to 3 years to see what happens next, I'm so glad that people are taking risks like this.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't need another fucking procedural.
Yeah.
I don't need The Walking Dead again. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, even though no knock on The Walking Dead, or if procedurals are your thing. I just think it's cool that we're still playing with narrative forms like this.
Yeah.
But that we're willing to try and like create this weirdly symmetrical narrative structure where you're like, your main character almost shifts, or like your perspective for the entire story changes after a certain point, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I think that's cool. So, I'm complaining about the timing of it, to be clear.
No, for sure.
Right? But I'm glad that we're chopping up a story like this. It's cool.
I watch some BBC shows like Slow Horses will do this thing where you get to the end of the season and then they have a teaser already ready to go for the next season.
Yeah.
Like they've already shot it. It's kind of wild how they make shows in the UK that they do that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, if they had just done that here, if they had already shot these kind of like back to back or something, that would be another thing too.
Sure.
Like just give it to us next year. It is frustrating. It is going to be interesting to see how this experiment works, because in the game, you can put it aside for 2 hours. You could be mad at it or whatever, but you have to at least finish the story. You don't get half the story. You can keep going, right? Here, it's going to be interesting to see if we're going to feel the same way. What are they going to have to do to remind us? What are they going to have to do to bring us back into the world, and to like, where are we supposed to feel? And like, are people going to be mad just because we're not focusing on Ellie, which is great, because that's the point. You should be kind of mad because you want Ellie and Joel's story. This is what you came here for. Now you're just getting Abby, and how are people going to feel? But I'm curious how this experiment works. Yeah. Outside of the video game medium, honestly, I've never thought it could.
Yeah.
When they said that they're going to do this show, I was like, okay, the first game I can see. I was like, the second one, this is a weird way to tell a story.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And the only reason I think it works in a video game is like the same way you don't get it in a book, and you don't get it in shows, and you don't get it in movies. I don't know that it works. The way that they told the story, the way that it's structured, the fact that you have to be playing, right? That you are engaging with it on this medium and for several hours, it's a different format. And I've been curious. I don't know that it works, and we'll see.
Yeah.
And I think some things worked, and adaptation wise, and then some things didn't. Unfortunately, that we're seeing like some things get condensed and some things get changed, and some of it works and some of it doesn't, it's real interesting. And I think if they had not done this bold decision, people would have been mad. And then doing this bold decision, people are going to be mad anyway. So
exactly.
It's because it would have been like, oh, it's not like the game,
Yeah, stay mad, nerds.
Yeah. So it's real interesting. But yeah, I am glad we're getting The Last of Us. I'm glad we're getting this adaptation, and it's so good, and the performances make it all worth it. Yeah. And I can't wait to see what Caitlin Dever does. I thought we were going to get more of her this season, but I'm like even more looking forward to her.
Yeah.
I know there's not a lot of people. There's this weird. I want to bring it up next season, but I don't know when that's going to be, so I'm just going to bring it up now. There seems to be this weird thing. We've talked so much about like how Abby is buff and muscular
in the game.
That's a big part of the game. And the showrunners and Neil Druckmann have talked so much about like, we made this change because the whole point of the game is that when you play as Abby, she has to feel differently from the way you play as Ellie. And that's a game mechanic. We need her to play differently. Ellie sneaks around and does this kind of thing, and
the knife.
Abby is kind of like a blunt force. Forging ahead. She's soldier-like, those kind of things. Because Abby is a playable character. That's what you need to do in a game. It's a game thing. And people, for some reason, believe that like, oh, I can't believe they didn't make Abby buff like in the game or give it muscular because like don't the writers, they don't understand that like that's the source of, that's where she put all of her like hatred and her revenge is like into like, it's all, she physically embodies like that version. I was like, what are you talking about? That's not why they made her buff in the game. There's no symbolism there of like her rage or her revenge or any of those kind of things. It's so fucking frustrating to me that gamers are trying to tell the people who made the show, one, the thing that they originally hated was Abby as a character. And now they're like telling people like, no, it should have been this thing because this is the source of all the rage. People that I like, I admire have like brought this up on like other podcasts where I'm like, this is not a thing this was never a thing. And you're projecting something which doesn't make any sense. Yeah. And to me, it's like, I know that people are going to hate Caitlin Dever. And I know they're going to have problems with for various reasons. I think you need to get off the idea that she doesn't look like Abby like she does in the game. But her looking like that was literally for gameplay reasons. And sure, it's great that we could have buff women in video games that we can empathize with. And I liked Abby as a game character. And could they have cast someone differently? Yeah. I have been a fan of and a supporter of Caitlin Dever for so long that when she got cast, I was like, perfect. I cannot wait to see her take on Abby. And I'm even more excited now. And I think if you can't get past the fact that she's a little bit skinnier, I was like, you got some problems. You got to figure this out, man. Cause that's she's already done so much with 2 lines, basically. She did so much in the first 2 episodes that I just love her performance already.
Yeah, I just also like, as having not played the game, I don't give a shit at all.
No, absolutely.
I'm like, she's great. And like, also, no one's buff in the TV show.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's pretty average build.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's where the gamers will say like, well, that's the point, is that no one else is, and she holds the record for like bench presses like on the fucking like board when they pass by the like the gym or whatever, that there's a clear reason like why people would follow her and why people are scared of her and why people are loyal to her and all that. And I'm like, it's not all physical though, like that a person can and it's representative like in a game where like, yeah, you have to like, you don't have performance that you can particularly rely on there, that you don't have, you're making a character, and also you need to show this through like gameplay. But I think that Caitlin Dever is probably going to hopefully show us all the things that Isaac was saying, hopefully in better ways and different ways, and show us with just through performance. And it can still be the same exact Abby. It's really, it's a frustrating thing. I'm only bringing it up. It's neither here nor there in terms of this episode or anything. There's really just nowhere place for me to talk about it until like later on. It's just such a weird thing that people are like, this is why she was buff. And I'm like, it's not. Literally wasn't. This is not the thing. We're reaching way too far. Like you're adding something to a character that was never put there in the moment, that the creator himself said so many times, we don't need her to be buff in the show because the only reason she was buff in the game was for gameplay. Literally it. That was literally it. Yeah. Stop reaching.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it.
Stop crying, I guess. Yeah. Gamers.
Stay mad, nerds.
It's so funny when they come to the TikToks and they're like, oh, like you guys are trying so hard to like make something about it. It's like, it's so sad that you are trying so hard. It's like, oh man, I'm sorry for making you cry. It's like, I'm sorry you cried about this. It's so weird that you're coming onto my things, that people have been so mad at us for talking about this, and also like saying like, what are you guys getting like paid for? You're like, you think you're going to get likes, like more people dislike this than you, like you're getting ratioed. I was like, I don't know, man. You guys are here. Yeah. You guys are commenting on the thing. Everyone else is liking it and following. It's like, I don't know what you're trying to say to me. Like, the smart thing would be to like not comment, to not show up. If you really, really didn't want to give us any voice or whatever, then like, why are you even here. It's so weird that you're crying in my comments about it, because I'm like, hey, well, all I knew is like 7 weeks ago, I didn't have an audience.
Yeah.
I wasn't talking about this. Didn't have, like, the podcast didn't like have any viewers, you know, but I did a thing and people were here and you guys are here and you're here. And we talked about it. Indeed. 7 weeks. I think this has been great and wild and an amazing journey.
Yeah, it's been fun.
And I love it. Gamers be damned. The same gamers that were mad at the game in the first place, which I can't imagine. It's so wild to me. Yeah. I don't know what they're defending right now, because I'm like, weren't you guys mad at the game? And now you're mad at the show? I'm so confused.
Go play Roblox, children.
All of that to say that, like, this has been a wild journey. This has been amazing.
Yeah.
It's crazy to see how divided the internet is on this. But if it's one thing I've learned, is that, like, community matters.
Yeah.
This community, right?
Sure.
The community that we've been building, that the people, if you're out there, you've been listening to this, thank you so much for joining us on this journey. I hope it's been just as wild. If you, again, like, have anything you want to say to us about what we missed, about what you want to talk about anything about this show, what you're expecting for season 3, anything at all, you can email us, codependentcontent@gmail.com. You can comment on YouTube. You can comment on TikTok. You comment on Spotify, wherever it is. I'm just so glad to be here. That this is our community, right? Mm-hmm. This is our, and that's what this show is obsessively about, right? What would you do for the people in your community? Mm-hmm. It's wild that some people are, like, not getting that, that you can build it, that you can, it's what you bring to it, right? You can keep approaching things with violence. You can keep approaching things with hatred or whatever. That's not going to get you very far, I think, or it's not going to get you the results that you want, a la Ellie.
Yeah.
It's not really ending the way that she thought. And maybe we approach things a little bit differently. Mm-hmm. I don't know what's the moral of our story. I don't know why I'm, like, philosophizing on this kind of thing, but I'm like, it's true. It's weird, like, how this game divides and this show divides, and that people just cannot see, like, that this is essentially the stories and the things that we love about Ellie and Joel. Us talking about it, this is what brings us closer together. Mm-hmm. When we empathize, when we try and, like, learn from, when we try and, like, engage with it.
Yeah.
And the fact that, like, that's the whole point of the podcast and whatever, and why I do this. And I love what I do. Yeah. And I love doing this. And so, yeah, I don't know. I'll find a moral in my doing a podcast and us talking about The Last of Us and how that just comes into conflict with people on the internet. It's such a wild thing. But all that to say, I'm glad to be here. I love doing this. I can't wait to do more. Please let me know. What do you want to talk about next?
Yeah.
Where do you want to go? Are you going to tune in for season 3? Are you going to, because I think we'll be here. I'll be here. We'll be talking about it. We'll see where we're at in 2 years. The world could end. I don't know.
It could. No, it for sure could.
But yeah. Thank you so much, Morgan.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I hope to talk to you about The Last of Us again.
Indeed.
How do we end this? The thing that we always said, you got, I'm your back, you're mine. When you're lost in the darkness, search for the light. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But just thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you guys. And I don't know when I'll see you next, but I'll see you then. Thank you for listening to Codependent Content. For updates, you can follow us on social media. And if you ever want to see a video version of this podcast, feel free to check us out on YouTube or Spotify. If you have any questions or simply want to tell us about something we missed, you can email us at codependentcontent@gmail.com. Or just leave a comment on TikTok and we'll get back to you. Links to all our accounts, where to contact us, or other ways to support will be in the description or show notes. We're glad you're here. and working through your traumas with us. Remember, when you're lost in the darkness, search for the light. Live long and prosper, and may the force be with you. Until the next session, cowabunga, dudes.